At this magic academy, everyone knows the score close combat magic is absolute trash compared to long-range spells. It's literally like bringing a rusty knife to a bazooka fight, so it's no surprise that only the total washouts pick it. Then comes this guy, the academy's top prospect, the Golden Boy. And what does he pick? Close combat. His instructor's jaw practically hits the floor. That shock turns into pure rage instantly. The teacher starts screaming, tearing into our boy for flushing his talent down the drain, while the whole class sits in stunned silence. Nobody gets it. Why pick the worst class? But Setsuna. He tunes out the noise, looks the teacher dead in the eye, and locks in his selection. The crest burns into his hand permanent ink. No takebacks, no other magic types allowed. And Setsuna, he's grinning like he just won the lottery. Ignoring the death, glares, and the teacher's shouting, he strolls out the door, hunting for the close combat wing. The hallway vibe shifts. It's like he's invisible until the whispering starts. The rumor mill spins up. He's not a genius. He's a total moron. From hero to zero in 5 seconds. Our boy catches the shade, but lets it slide. Setsuna just keeps walking, eyes forward. Then the sound of a scuffle breaks his focus. Around the corner, a pack of long-range magic jerks has cornered a redhead from the close combat track. They snatched her brooch and are treating her like a carnival game. They're blasting fireballs at her feet, laughing while she scrambles to dodge, just trying to remind her she's bottom of the food chain. She tries to clap back, manifesting a shaky monoblade, but the bullies just cackle. They unleash a volley of fire, blasting her straight to the pavement. Now they're pissed she fought back. Time to teach her a harsh lesson. A close-range scrub will never touch a long-range elite. They wind up for a merciless volley at the prone girl. But boom, Setsuna blurs into the frame, scooping her up before the smoke clears. He moves faster than their eyes can track. The girl is wide-eyed. The bullies spot Setsuna's crest, another close combat loser. Their eyes light up fresh meat. They get hyped to stomp him out too. But Setsuna is about to give them a brutal reality check. He pumps mana into his legs, exploding into motion. He's moving so fast the fireballs aren't even in the same zip code. He weaves through the barrage like it's a joke. One bully starts panicking, totally confused, and charges up his ultimate fireball. Setsuna doesn't dodge. He slices the inferno clean in half. The bullies freeze. They've never seen anyone cut pure magic before. Setsuna calmly drops some knowledge on the girl. High-level mastery cuts through low-level spam. Simple as that. That's the gap in their skill. But the bullies let their egos take the wheel. They aren't quitting yet. The ringleader decides to nuke the whole hallway, charging up a massive, unstable fireball to end it all. He doesn't even get the words out. Setsuna flashes forward, silencing him with a single, precise chop to the neck. Game over. The terrified seniors cough up the stolen brooch and drag their unconscious boss away in shame. So how is a rookie this overpowered twist? He wasn't always a close combat mage. In his past life, he was the supreme long-range sorcerer. He commanded the elite forces against the death god Vidrak. They fought like hell, slaughtering the monster hordes. But against Vidrak, useless. They threw every spell in the book and didn't even scratch the guy's armor. It was a massacre. His squad got deleted, only with his dying breath and one final desperate attack. Did Setsuna chip the death god's HP? That split second changed everything. He realized ranged magic is a trap. Only physical combat can kill a god. He died with that knowledge, but a mystic necklace, gifted by the headmaster, triggered a rewind. He wakes up in the past, memories intact. Back in the hallway, our hero hands the brooch back, knowing how much it means to her. She's shaken but grateful, gripping his hand tight. "I'm Layla Roswell," she says. He introduces himself, and her face lights up. She's a fangirl. She knows the name. The rumors say he's the guy born with max stats in every magic branch. She hits him with the big question, why throw that away for melee? He hesitates. He can't exactly drop the "I'm from the future" bomb. She'd think he's crazy. So he dodges the question and asks for directions to class instead. That triggers a panic. They're late for rookie orientation. The duo takes off running. As they sprint, he notices the close combat building is out in the boonies. Talk about disrespect. Out of breath, Layla asks the million-dollar question, "Can you teach me that mana blade move?" He shrugs it off. It's just precision mana control applied to a blade shape. Basic stuff for him. He believes if you tweak the control, you can invent infinite combat styles. And the best part, anti-magic fields can't break a solid fist. Once he masters this, he'll be ready for the death god. But brute force isn't the whole puzzle. His mind drifts to a memory over tea with the old headmaster. The old man took off his gloves, revealing 2 forbidden magic crests that left Setsuna absolutely floored. Magic 101 dictates a wizard masters a single discipline. Yet looking at the headmaster, the mark on his right hand clearly screamed summoning magic. But his left hand, that bore a cryptic sigil, a brand of power I'd never seen in any textbook. Right when I worked up the nerve to ask, he cut me off. Said the reveal would come when the time was right, a subtle nod that he trusted me with his life. Tragedy struck before I got answers. The Grim Reaper himself descended hungry for blood. The headmaster was slaughtered. The death god took him out personally, terrified of the potential that old man held. Now, the mission is clear. If I crack the code of that dual-wielding magic, I might just have the juice to rewrite this world's doomed fate. Snap back to reality. Layla drags me toward a grim-looking building. We're here, she announces. My brain is already racing. I need to make a splash in melee magic, something loud enough to grab the new administration's attention. We barely step across the threshold when the instructor blocks the path, barking about us being late. Great start. And it gets worse. He spots Layla. She tries to plead our case, but he shuts her down instantly. He proclaims my days as an honor student are history. He gets right in my face, practically spitting as he mocks my fall from grace. He rubs it in, reminding me I'm now trash in the melee magic division, the academy's dumping ground for rejects. Setsuna isn't having it. He swipes the guy's hand away like a buzzing fly, muttering that listening to this lecture is a waste of oxygen. He calls out the hypocrisy. Why teach a subject you clearly despise? The instructor snaps, grabbing Setsuna's collar, veins popping as he demands respect. Our boy stays ice cold. He stares him down and says melee magic is a goldmine of power, and that's exactly why he's here. The teacher scoffed, laughing at the audacity. Let's see how long that ego lasts, he sneers, pivoting to issue a challenge. You believe in this garbage, prove it. He gestures to the training yard, where students are frantically wailing on massive boulders. One kid blasts a rock with everything he's got only to bounce off. Not even a scratch. The recoil nearly knocks him out. The instructor screams at the class, demanding effort. This is test number 1, maggots. The drill. There is a fist-sized crystal buried in those stones. The objective is to extract it without smashing the prize. Fail, and you'll wish you were never born. The clock is ticking down, and literally 0 students have made a dent. Complaints start flying. This concrete is impenetrable, one yells. Another argues it's insane to demand mastery on day 1. Whispers circulate that the teacher is just venting his rage because he got passed over for a promotion again. Ignoring the whining, the instructor drags Setsuna over to the mother of all boulders, the biggest one on the field. Show me what you got, prodigy. And the kicker, because he was late, he only gets 10 minutes. Layla gasps, pointing out the absurdity. That rock is a mountain, and 10 minutes is a guaranteed fail. The teacher just flashes a sadistic grin, tapping his watch. Make that 9 minutes. Time flies when you're chatting. Setsuna doesn't flinch. He steps up, palm on the cold stone. The instructor cackles, loving every second of this. Think you're special, beg for forgiveness, and I might give you an extension. Setsuna drops a bomb. 10 minutes, please. I'll wrap this up in 10 seconds flat. Layla panics, begging him not to bait the guy. The instructor smirks, thinking this kid is delusional. He knows for a fact that rock is denser than steel. It took him 30 minutes just to drag it here. But the hero stands his ground. 10 seconds on the clock. He channels his energy. A weapon materializes in his grip. He knows the stakes. If he wants to be the alpha, he has to dominate this class completely. 0 hesitation. He swings, telling himself he doesn't have time to play games with small fry. Silence. For a heartbeat, nothing happens. The instructor opens his mouth to roast him. Nice try, kid, but you're just crack. The boulder detonates into rubble. Setsuna casually plucks the purple crystal from the dust, hands it over, and says, "Told you, 10 seconds. The teacher's jaw hits the floor. Layla looks like she's seen a ghost. How did he surgically remove that gem so effortlessly? The class goes dead silent. You can practically hear them thinking, is this new guy stronger than the teacher? The instructor snaps out of it, desperate to save face. Trickery. He used a cheat. He starts ranting that breaking a dense rock that fast is physically impossible without foul play. Setsuna delivers the final blow. If it takes you 10 minutes to crack a pebble, maybe you should grab a desk and join the class. That comment hit a nerve. Instructor Zachary turns red, ready to throw hands when another figure steps in. Lionel. Lionel grabs the bald instructor by his shiny dome. Bullying students now. You're making enough noise to wake the dead. He shuts down the cheating accusations immediately. Setsuna didn't cheat. He read the mana flow inside the rock. Pure skill. He zeroed in on the structural flaw and shattered the defense instantly. Then he turned on Zachary, roasting the instructor for being completely clueless about the basics. Spinning toward the class, the new head honcho announces, "It is demo time, and our bald friend here is going to be the crash test dummy for a mana guard." Lionel drops into a lethal combat stance, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Since you're such a pro, taking this hit shouldn't put you in the hospital, right?" Zachary starts sweating bullets and tries to stammer out an excuse, but Lionel doesn't wait. Bam! He shoves the guy, sending him flying backward until he meets the wall with a bone-rattling crunch. Our MC watches stunned. This guy just shredded a mana guard like it was wet tissue paper. Lionel walks over, slapping a hand on the hero's shoulder to hype up his crazy skills. That kind of power, more than enough for this department kid, Lionel grins. Don't burn yourself out trying to prove a point. Setsuna doesn't blink. He looks the man in the eye and drops a bombshell. He isn't here to just participate. He is refusing to take a loss from any other department. He is gunning for the top spot, total domination. Lionel cracks a wide smile, clearly vibing with that hunger for power. The instructor leans in asking if there is a specific spell currently living rent-free in the kid's head that he wants to learn. You name it, I'll teach it personally. The kid reminds Lionel of his younger self possessing that same relentless grind set. Internally, Lionel had already mentally crowned another student as the department rep, but looking at Satsuna, yeah, the game just changed. Lionel finally addresses the crowd, dropping his title head instructor of melee magic. Welcome to the Thunderdome Fresh Meat. He doesn't waste time announcing they need to pick a representative for the upcoming intramural contest. Yeah, it is early, but who cares? This isn't just a quiz bowl. It is a full-blown war between the 8 magic departments battling for ultimate bragging rights. 1 champion per department. They get thrown into a tournament bracket and only the strongest walks out alive. Satsuna's mind flashes back. In his previous life, he swept this exact tournament, except back then, he was representing the ranged magic squad. That victory earned him the headmaster's loyalty. Remembering that glory, his eyes light up. He needs to run that back. Scanning the room, his gaze locks onto a massive chunk of solid rock. Lionel catches him, staring at the damage. You weren't the only one to ace the entrance test, the instructor smirks. There is another monster in the class. Someone snagged the crystal before Satsuna even arrived, purely by smashing through rock with bare fists. Satsuna realizes both shattered boulders are the work of the same beast. Enter Drago Okrid. The guy spots Satsuna, stomps over, and demands to know why a known academy prodigy is slumming it in the melee department. Satsuna stays cool, simply shrugging it off. I've got my reasons. The Hulk laughs in his face. He looks Satsuna up and down, mocking his lean frame. What are you gonna do with those twig arms? Then comes the flex. His family practically invented melee magic, and he has been grinding in the gym for 17 straight years. To prove it, he flares his aura and rips a punch into thin air. Boom! The pressure wave hits the room like a truck, suffocating the other students. Smirking, he throws a feint right at Satsuna's face, stopping inches away. Duel me, pretty boy. He lays down the law: if Satsuna wants that representative spot, he is going to have to bleed for it. Satsuna's memory jogs. He heard about Drago in the original timeline. Drago was the only heavy hitter Melee had. Figuring it is better to settle this now, Satsuna nods. Challenge accepted. Lionel steps between them before blood spills. Save it, he orders. The duel happens in 1 week. The meathead points a finger, warning Satsuna not to chicken out. Real mages fight with honor. Don't ghost me. Once Drago storms off, the class erupts into whispers. Layla slides up to Satsuna, looking nervous. Are you sure about this? That guy looks insane. Satsuna keeps it real. He shakes his head. Right now, he would get absolutely folded by that guy. But he adds, I've got a cheat code. He takes off, leaving Layla confused until she decides to tail him. They trek deep into the forest until they face a colossal tree. Satsuna steps up and presses his palm against the rough bark. This is the spot, he explains. His personal hyperbolic time chamber. Training here triples his gains. Why? Because this isn't just timber, it is the legendary world tree, standing here for thousands of years. Suddenly, emerald light floods out, wrapping around Satsuna like a second skin. The tree has accepted him. Layla stares wide-eyed. What is happening? It's a buff, he explains. The world tree's blessing supercharges mana recovery, but it is VIP access only. He found this glitch in his previous life. Now that he has secured the link again, mana exhaustion is a thing of the past. He can push his body to the breaking point and just keep going. Infinite stamina mode unlocked. Layla is floored, but the anxiety hasn't totally faded. Drago has been throwing punches since he was in diapers. Still, she owes Satsuna big time for retrieving her brooch. She decides to step up. If she can't fight, she can spy. She heads out to do some recon on Drago. Cut to the training hall. Drago and his goons are already hard at work sweating it out. Peeking around the corner, she spots Drago, absolutely demolishing a workout, with weights that would crush a normal human. He drops the set and hits up Headmaster Lionel, asking if there are any fortified rocks left in the inventory. Lionel cracks a grin, jokingly asking if the kid plans to reduce the school's entire stockpile to dust. Turns out, Drago isn't smashing them, he's strapping them on for extra resistance. Witnessing this freakish display of strength, Layla is totally shook, wondering if this guy is even the same species as them. It looks like he could decapitate the hero, with a single flick of his wrist. Terrified, she sprints off to find Setsuna, before he walks into a massacre. Meanwhile, our protagonist is chilling under the shade of a tree, nose buried in a martial arts manual like it's vacation time. The redhead storms up, screaming that this is no time for a study hall session, especially when that absolute unit of a monster is currently doing push-ups with 5 massive fortified boulders on his back. The hero barely looks up, agreeing that it's an impressive feat but hardly groundbreaking. He tells her to chill out, explaining that reading is actually the core of his grind right now. Seeing her confused expression, he breaks it down. He is mastering a spell called Physical Boost. It channels mana through the nerves to override the body's natural limits. Pump mana into the legs, explosive speed and strength. Focus it in the fists. Devastating knockout power. Route it to the brain, supercharged memory processing. He casually yeets the book aside, announcing he has already downloaded every single technique into his mind. Now, it is time for a field test. Spotting a lone leaf drifting down in the distance, he surges mana into his legs and snaps a kick so fast it splits the leaf in midair. He doesn't stop there, molding his mana into an invisible blade. He slices through a cascade of falling leaves with surgical precision. Layla stares jaw on the floor, stunned by how fast he mastered high-level combat mechanics. But the hero just shakes his head. This level of power is not going to cut it. Suddenly, his body seizes up in agony, and he drops to his knees. A nasty gash spontaneously opens up on his hand, leaving the girl completely bewildered. He waves off her concern, explaining that self-destruction is literally the plan. With the physical boost active, he is intentionally ripping his muscle fibers to total failure. By hyper-focusing mana on recovery, his body rebuilds itself stronger and faster than nature intended. As if to prove it, the wound knits itself back together right in front of her face. Panicked, she asks if this torture is really necessary. Setsuna keeps it real. Normal grinding won't work because Drago has a massive head start on experience points. With only 7 days until the showdown, he is planning to cycle through this destruction process 1,000 times. The redhead looks at him like he is insane. Most people couldn't survive one cycle, let alone 1,000. Hearing her disbelief, the hero cracks a faint smile, flashing back to the days when he was a magicless nobody. Back then, he embraced the grind every single day, eating dirt and failing constantly. But he never quit on himself, clawing for every inch of progress. As long as the XP bar goes up, he can eat the pain. From that moment on, it is a training montage for two. Watching him during breaks, Layla realizes the truth. People call him a prodigy, but he is actually just outworking the entire server. Even now, he is repping out heavy weights while doing push-ups. Finally, the waiting is over. Duel Day creates an electric atmosphere as our boy steps into the arena opposite Drago. With a massive audience buzzing with anticipation, Drago sneers surprised the kid didn't forfeit and run for the hills. Our boy stands his ground, making it crystal clear he is here to snatch that department representative title. The headmaster eyes both fighters, and as the tension peaks, he drops the signal to commence hostilities. Setsuna wastes zero time blitzing forward and uncorking a vicious left hook at Drago, who throws up an arm barrier to tank the hit. Despite the block, the impact skids him backward. Our boy realizes the big guy used a mana guard to eat the damage. Instantly, his opponent fires back a counterpunch with so much torque, the audience can feel the shockwave. It is a blur of motion most eyes can't even track. Layla holds her breath as the dust clears, only to see the hero cleanly dodged the death blow. The student section goes wild, unable to process that these two freshmen only finished the ritual of choice 1 week ago. Our boy wipes sweat, noting that if that fist had connected, he would be in the infirmary right now. Frustrated that he hit air, the buff giant unleashes a chaotic barrage of strikes, but the hero weaves through them like water, which only triggers Drago's rage. He roars, mocking Setsuna for playing keep away, and trash-talking his seemingly fragile frame. Watching from the stands, the redhead bites her lip, terrified that Setsuna's 1 week of hell training wasn't enough to take down this beast. The teacher analyzes the flow, noting that on paper, the hero looks like he is on the ropes. Drago throws a heavy kick, but once again, our boy shuts it down with a block. Lionel squints, realizing the hero is using surgical mana control to parry the massive kinetic energy. Drago snaps, screaming that punks like him always disrespect the art of melee magic. He spills the tea. His family has been treated like absolute trash for generations, all because they specialize in melee magic. Seeing Red Drago manifests a massive blade, swearing he's gonna crush the hero. Our boy just vibes, summoning his own steel to clap back. Zero hesitation, they launch straight at each other. The air crackles as their swords smash together in a deafening clash. Drago unleashes a wild flurry of slashes, but Setsuna is untouchable, weaving and leaping through the noise like it's nothing. Sensing a gap in the barrage, he rips out a counter-slash. The big guy reacts, instantly leaping back to retaliate. Boom! Their weapons lock up so hard the concrete splinters under their boots. As the tank charges again, our boy flashes back to the trash talk from the other students, roasting him for picking a melee build. He locks eyes with Drago and suddenly it clicks. He gets exactly where that fury is coming from. But nah, they need to aim higher than petty grudges. Drago looks shook, completely confused, like he can't process the level up. In a split second, our boy lands a surgical strike that shatters Drago's mana blade into dust. He freezes buffering for a sec, but snaps back, popping a physical boost buff and swinging back with way more juice. The hero shifts gears, speeding up to match the heat. Red Hair notices the damage stacking up. Setsuna is finally chipping away at the tank's HP. Even the teacher is glued to the action, thinking Drago is actually putting up a solid fight. But Setsuna, his mana control and physical buffs are looking absolutely god tier right now. Our boy is fully locked in. He knows Drago's defense is a wall, and to break it, he needs just one opening. He rushes in and the big guy manifests a fresh sword fueled by pure adrenaline and takes a massive swing. Setsuna senses the aggro and barely sideslips. Drago's strike misses and obliterates the floor, sending debris flying. Drago smirks, thinking he's got this in the bag. There's no way the hero can keep dodging on foot forever. He clenches his fists, practically vibrating with rage, leaving the crowd guessing what his next ult is going to be. Sudden move, he closes in and throws a heavy haymaker. The fist connects, but it punches through empty air. It's just an afterimage. The real Setsuna is already sky high. He shows off a pro move concentrating mana to leave a ghost behind and completely juke the opponent. No lag time, our boy dives in at breakneck speed. As the tank winds up again, Setsuna decides it's time to pull the plug on this match and drops the hammer with a devastating final slash. The whole arena goes dead silent. Teach is wondering if he used that momentum to crit. Both showed mad skills, but the hero, yeah, he definitely took the W. Drago hits the dirt out cold. Layla is losing her mind with hype, but then plot twist. The tank slowly drags himself back up. The crowd goes absolutely feral, amazed he's still vertical. After eating a hit like that, dude is built different. But instead of being chill, he's fuming at the hero, realizing Setsuna pulled his punch at the last second to avoid a kill shot. Our boy just reaches out a hand to help him up. Still salty, Drago demands to know what his motivation even is. Setsuna takes a beat, then drops the mic. He fights, so he will never take an L to anyone or anything ever again. And he's gonna keep leveling up forever. That cracks a smile on Drago's face. He finally gets why this kid is so OP. Drago admits defeat fair and square. Our boy keeps it classy, calling him a legit worthy opponent, and saying he'd be a massive asset in the raid against the Death God. Meanwhile, Teach walks up impressed that the hero had the guts to face the tank head-on. He raises a hand and makes it official. Setsuna is the new face of the melee magic department. Jump cut to a few days later, Lionel is escorting the hero down the hall. He says it's time to meet the other department reps. Before opening the door, he warns him, "Don't start any drama." And the hero nods. He steps into the room and 7 reps are already chilling there. This glasses-wearing kid clocks him and immediately starts trash-talking, laughing that the melee department actually has the audacity to show up this year. Our boy IDs him instantly, Noel, from Enhancement Magic. The nerd steps up aggressive, pressing his leg right against the hero, trying to force him to kneel while talking smack. He hints that they're gonna clash in the first round, dropping stats about how melee hasn't caught a dub in 100 years. Unbothered, our boy casually pushes back against the pressure, noting that Enhancement Magic has a weird way of saying hello. The nerd gets triggered, but Setsuna stays ice cold, making it clear he couldn't care less about 100-year-old history. He's taking the crown this year, period. Noel scoffs, frustrated, telling him to keep dreaming. At that exact second, the headmaster breezes into the room, flashing a smile and loving the intense vibes between the two students. But he warns them to bottle that aggression for the actual arena. As the representatives rise to show respect, the hero freezes. The headmaster hasn't aged a day since the previous timeline. He looks exactly identical. The headmaster steps up and a girl with pink hair greets him with total enthusiasm, swearing she's going to bring home the glory. Our boy instantly clocks her. That's Carol from the Summoning Magic Department. She radiates bubbly energy, but don't get it twisted in his past life. She was an absolute nightmare in the intramural contest. Yeah, he secured the dub back then, but sleeping on her skills now would be a rookie mistake. The headmaster kicks things off by congratulating everyone on securing their spots as department reps, hyping them up as the elite talent of the academy gathered in one room. He then drops the bracket info. The matchups for the contest have been completely randomized, and the whole thing is going to be a one-on-one tournament style. The opening duel features the representatives of Melee Magic versus Enhancement Magic. Round 2 pits Healing Magic against Ranged Magic. The third bout sees Formation Magic taking on Summoning Magic, leaving the finale to Irregular Magic versus Alchemical Magic. He frames this as the ultimate crash course, a chance to get hands-on experience dealing with rival specializations. The brackets are spread over 10 days, giving everyone a solid window to grind and recover. He ends with a grin, saying he is dying to see the fireworks, and the students bow in unison. As the meeting wraps, Setsuna realizes this is his only shot to get a word in with the big boss. The headmaster turns to leave, so Setsuna calls out. The old man pauses, recognizing the kid from the melee department. Our boy introduces himself and shoots his shot with a bold request. He asks if hypothetically he takes the crown. Could he learn the headmaster's magic? The headmaster blinks confused, pointing out that since Setsuna is a melee fighter and he is a summoner, the synergy would be 0. Hearing this, the hero drops the bomb. He isn't talking about summoning. He wants to learn the headmaster's other secret specialization. The vibe shifts instantly. The headmaster flares up furious, demanding to know how a random student dug up info on his second specialization. Despite the terrifying aura crushing down on him, our boy stands his ground if he wants to. Find a way to stomp the death god, he can't fold now. He admits he can't spill the whole story, but argues that a melee department victory, for the first time in a century, would be historic, completely rewriting the world's perception of them. Compared to that upheaval, a little tutoring is cheap. The headmaster scans him, deciding the hero doesn't seem to have any malicious intent. He nods, agreeing to spill the secrets if the kid actually wins. As the hero bows, the old man drops a warning: this path is going to be brutal. Setsuna doesn't flinch, locking in his promise to dominate the tournament and earn those teachings. Digging the kid's grit, the headmaster strolls off. That evening, our boy chills outside with some grub, looking back on a decade of academy life. Honestly, he's been bored out of his mind with nothing to do. But for now, he's laser-focused on the competition. With only 10 days on the clock, suddenly a voice cuts through the silence. No need to stress about prep. Boom, a stone fist comes out of nowhere. Setsuna catches the surprise attack on his forearm and leaps back to reset. It's a golem. The nerd steps out of the shadows, salty that he missed the blind spot. The hero instantly recognizes Noel's handiwork, created by his ability to turn life into stone. He wonders what the guy's game plan is. The nerd makes it loud and clear that he wants blood now and isn't interested in waiting for the official brackets. He summons a squad of golems to flank Setsuna, demanding payback for the earlier embarrassment. Stone-faced our boy tells him, "You brought this on yourself." Just then, the academy bells toll. Noel freezes, deciding it wouldn't look good for his rep to be seen jumping a defensive scrub. He dispels the golems and bounces, promising a total beatdown in the ring. Our boy admits the nerd has serious skills controlling multiple golems, but the guy has zero class, mostly because he made him drop his bread. The next day, head instructor Lionel rallies the melee crew. He announces that before the real games begin, it's film study time dissecting the brawl between Drago and Setsuna. He asks if they've figured out where they messed up, and both fighters nod in agreement. The big guy breaks the silence first, owning up to the fact that his mana control is shaky and his temper is even worse. On the flip side, our main man admits his stats are low. He got absolutely physically dominated in their last scuffle. Lionel gives props for the self-awareness, reminding them you can't level up if you don't admit where you're glitching out. He tells them to lock in on those flaws for the next bout. Hearing this, Red raises a hand, wondering if this sparring session is actually prep work for the big intramural tournament. The teacher grins, "Sharp kid." He reveals the hero's first boss fight is going to be against the enhancement magic crew. Setsuna breaks it down. Noel's whole gimmick is spamming golems, and since those rock monsters have physical bodies, fighting them is basically just a melee matchup with extra steps. Lionel coaches them up. Drago needs to focus on pure speed, acting as a simulation for a golem swarm coming from every angle. Setsuna's job, defense, and parrying. He's got to master the counterattack. The tanky student squares up, declaring he's built different this time around. Our boy smirks, totally unfazed. "I'm counting on it." Drago rushes in to throw hands, but the hero weaves past the strike. Setsuna tries to flank right, but before he can trigger his move, his sparring partner checks him with a surprise offhand strike. He realizes his reaction time is lagging just a bit. The instructor loves it, hyping up how the big guy is finally balancing his speed and power stats. Hearing the praise, Bro goes full heavyweight champ mode and winds up a massive left hook. The hero reads the telegraph, realizing it's a feint. He calls the bluff perfectly. Teach is impressed, shouting for him to add some footwork into the mix. Setsuna nods, sliding out of range, and snaps back with a counter. Cut to later, both of them are sprawled on the floor, absolutely gassed. The instructor walks over, nodding at their progress. He figures in a couple of days they'll be dismantling golems like it's nothing. Lionel tosses them some hydration. Between gulps, our boy mutters that he's not letting his guard down yet. The teacher notes the difference. Drago has the hardware, but Setsuna, he's got those god-tier instincts, making him a total natural at close quarters. Finally, tournament day rolls around. The crowd is hyped as the MC announces the start of Elmridge Academy's 781st showdown, seeing which of the 8 department reps is going to take the crown. The hero and the nerd stare each other down, locked in and ready to rumble. The announcer turns to the stands, letting everyone know betting lines are open. Smart money is on the nerd, since nobody thinks a melee user is viable in this meta. But the bully who got humbled by Setsuna earlier, he puts his cash on our boy. Meanwhile, heads turn as Oktar from the ranged department struts into the arena. Whoever survives this match has to deal with him next. The announcer reveals the twist: the map is randomized every round. And for this fight, the RNG gods chose the desert. The nerd shoots a look at the hero, gloating that his luck just ran out. A bunch of extras in the stands start trash-talking Setsuna, calling it an easy clap. Layla isn't having it. She snaps at them to zip it, promising that after this, they'll see if the melee department is actually trash tier. Finally, the signal drops. Fight on. The second the clock starts, the nerd grabs a rock and quizzes the hero. Know what this is? Our boy guesses. It's fortified stone. Bingo. The guy explains the chemistry mix that rock with sand, and you get instant minions. Boom, a rock golem spawns, completely immune to basic blade attacks. Noel flashes a pouch full of the stuff and scatters it like confetti, spawning a whole army. He dares Setsuna to survive the onslaught. Layla gasps, totally shook by the sheer number of summons. The nerd flexes, bragging that in a sandbox map he has infinite ammo, and the hero's melee tricks can't compete with an endless horde. The crowd starts roasting the hero again, calling the match a snooze fest. The nerd asks for any last words before the finish. Instead of looking worried, our boy sighs. Disappointing. I thought you'd be higher level. Noel is stunned by the disrespect, freezing up for a split second before screaming for the golems to charge. As the mob advances, a massive dust storm kicks up. The nerd smirks, claiming this is what happens when you poke the bear. The visibility drops to 0, leaving the audience confused. What is going on? The swirling sand turns the arena into a blind spot. But inside the smoke, the hero zones in, slicing through the golems with surgical precision. One by one, he dismantles them, muttering that he figured out this puzzle ages ago. The crowd is left speechless. Even the Four Eyes is left paralyzed by the sight. Desperate, he panic spams his magic, conjuring a fresh wave of golems and commanding them to crush the hero. But Setsuna ice cold. He barrels straight toward him, knowing that once he gets within striking range, it is game over. Melee magic reigns supreme in the brawl, and these clunky golems, with their telegraphed moves, they are nothing but target practice. He shreds through the stone defenders like wet paper, sending Noel into a full-blown meltdown. The guy scrambles for his bag, shaking, screaming that he can summon an army, but the clock has run out. Setsuna is already in his face, and he is about to deliver a world of hurt. One devastating punch connects, launching the mage backward like a ragdoll. The crowd gasps, totally blind to the action because visibility is 0, thanks to the massive dust cloud swallowing the stage. But as the debris finally clears, jaws drop. Setsuna is the only one left standing. The announcer does not waste a second, declaring him the undisputed winner. Setsuna exhales, thinking that round 1 was barely a warm-up. Honestly, too easy. While Layla is hyping him up from the stands, the rest of the student body is skeptical. They are calling it a fluke, whispering that Noel just ran out of juice or gassed out. But the head of the ranged magic department, he sees right through it. He knows the truth. Noel did not slip up. He got completely outclassed by superior skill. The student next to him notes that the upcoming clash with the melee rep just got a whole lot more spicy, though he figures he better have a contingency plan. Soon the next bout is announced, and the arena morphs again, this time sprouting a dense forest. Setsuna strolls over to Layla, who gives him major props on the W. She asks if he is sticking around for the undercard. He nods. Scouting the competition now means survival later. Gathering intel is key. Match 2 kicks off the pink-haired summoner versus the formation magic specialist. Right now, the girl with the animal ears is absolutely dominating. Setsuna analyzes the fight. Even though the formation user is on the ropes, their footwork is slick. Definitely something he could adapt for melee combat. Layla remarks that while the spells look like total eye candy, she is dead set on mastering the fist. Setsuna gets curious. Why melee? She clearly has the mana for other classes. Layla opens up about a childhood trauma. She was playing with her little brother when a massive bear attacked them. She thought they were goner, but a melee mage swooped in to save the day. He was powerful, heroic, a total badass. That was the moment she vowed to become just like him, strong enough to protect everyone. She blushes, admitting it sounds a bit cringy. But Setsuna shuts that doubt down immediately. Nothing childish about conviction. Having a clear goal is the ultimate power boost. As they bond, Leo strolls down the stairs. Setsuna recognizes him instantly, the top dog of ranged magic, and basically the only real threat besides himself. Leo gives Setsuna props, admitting that for a melee user, he actually packs a punch. Then he smirks, glancing at Layla. So, is this pretty lady your girlfriend? Setsuna blinks, totally clueless, but Layla flusters, quickly denying it. It's not like that. She stands up to bail, mumbling that since the guys are friends, they should chill together and catch the rest of the fights. Once she is gone, Setsuna gets straight to business. Why isn't Leo the rep? He is clearly the strongest. Leo leans in, voice low. The current rep, Akhtar, the guy is a total snake. He played Leo, tricking him out of the qualifiers completely. Hearing this, Setsuna realizes Akhtar is the ruthless type, the kind who plays dirty to win. He is going to have to watch his back. Cut to Akhtar, staring down at a box of flowers, with a sinister grin plastered on his face. Back at the arena, the announcer screams, "It is time." The first bout of round 2, the grudge match. Ranged magic versus melee magic. The arena transforms into a literal inferno, a lava stage. One wrong step means not just a loss, but agonizing burns. Drago and the instructor exchange worried looks. This terrain is a nightmare for a brawler. It is an uphill battle for Setsuna. Meanwhile, Akhtar stands with his mentor, gloating about the battlefield, laid out for him. Silas sneers, predicting the hero is about to regret his life choices and his stupid decision to pick melee. Akhtar stays cool, Regret, he muses. That assumes he even makes it to the starting line. The announcer calls for the fighters to take their positions. But the stage is empty. Setsuna is MIA. If our boy doesn't show his face in the next 5 minutes, it's game over. Ranged magic takes the win by default. Lionel and Drago are losing their minds in the stands. Cut to 10 minutes ago in the waiting room, Layla is banging on the door, checking on the champ before his big moment. He claims he's chill, but then points a finger at that innocent-looking vase in the corner. He drops a bombshell that's not decor. It's a mana-draining trap set on a hair trigger. One touch. Boom. Your energy reserves get wiped out instantly. Layla is horrified who plants a mana nuke in a waiting room. He connects the dots. Someone wants him drained dry before the fight. And get this makes assassination attempt number 7. She starts panicking, checking for injuries, but he waves it off. He's already handled the situation like a pro. He knows the ranged magic rep is pulling the strings, but the guy is a ghost, zero evidence left behind to pin him. Knock knock. 3 adorable kids waltz in, lugging a massive flower bouquet for Layla to pass to the hero. Layla is confused. Security just let these kids wander in. One tot pipes up saying, a nice man sent them on this errand. They scan the hallway ghost town. Layla figures it's just a superfan trying to show some love. She wishes the fan could have delivered it personally. But suddenly, the kid holding the flowers starts swaying. Kid hits the deck, dropping the bouquet. Setsuna spots gnarly markings on the child's neck, a grim callback to his war days. Reflexes kick in. He punts those flowers across the room. Layla screams, totally blindsided by the sudden aggression. He barks out the truth that isn't a gift. It's venom, a deadly, poisonous plant. One look at the kids tells you it is already bad. Clock is ticking on these kids' lives. Our boy is seething. Some scumbags will cross any line just to secure a trophy. Collateral damage for a tournament win. Sick. If they don't get treated right now, they aren't making it out alive. But regular meds won't cut it. They need a specialist healer for this specific toxin. Layla's panic meter hits the red zone. She asks the hard question, are they dying? He doesn't sugarcoat it. Yes. Stay back or you are next. Contact spreads the toxin. But Layla isn't backing down. She whips out a brooch and tells him to trust her process. Setsuna clocks the item immediately. It is a high-tier artifact, a mana battery. Layla explains her mom loaded it with heavy-duty healing spells. She gets to work, and the nasty marks on the kid's skin start fading. It was an emergency stash from her mom, though she never guessed emergency meant saving poisoned kids at a tournament. Witnessing her courage gives our boy the green light. He thanks her for stepping up, and bolts with the bouquet. He knows the science. When these flowers bloom, they detonate a massive venom cloud. He has to neutralize it fast. But tossing it in the crowded arena, that is a biological weapon waiting to happen. It would wipe out the spectators. And holding it is costing him. The toxins are already seeping into his system. Desperate times. He hurls the deadly bundle toward the world tree, praying the ancient magic can handle it. He puts everything into the strike. His attack slices the plant, launching it sky-high miles away from the stands. It incinerates in midair. As it burns, the suffocating grip of the poison lifts. Strength flows back, but the clock is still the enemy. Meanwhile, in the arena, the audience is getting restless. Whispers turn to shouts. Everyone thinks Setsuna bailed out of pure fear. The ref checks his watch and grabs the mic. Disqualification imminent. He is about to crown Akhtar the winner, by default. When boom, our boy crashes the party. Don't call it yet, he shouts. We are just getting started. The ranged magic rep grins like a predator. Setsuna showing up doesn't scare him, it just makes the game more fun. He has the nerve to ask, did you enjoy my little congratulatory gift, referencing the trap? Setsuna isn't playing. He calls out the dirty play poisoning literal children just to rig a match. That is low. Classic villain move, the purple-haired psycho plays dumb. He dismisses the near murder of kids as trivial details fueling Setsuna's rage. He doubles down. Those brats should be honored, they helped me win. That is the final straw. Setsuna is done talking. He is ready to exorcise this demon right now. The announcer screams, round 2 fight. Akhtar wastes 0 seconds firing off a storm bullet barrage. Setsuna weaves through the chaos effortlessly. Drago is watching closely from the bleachers. He spots the glitch. Setsuna's mana is flickering. Something went down before the match. Internally, our boy knows the score. The world tree scrubbed most of the toxin, but the residue, it is throttling his max output. He is fighting with the parking brake on. Akhtar unleashes another combo. But Setsuna dances away, dodging by inches. The psycho opponent laughs, clearly toying with him, taunting that the great melee magic rep is nothing but a coward who knows how to run. The instructor mutters a warning. The corrupt instructor is grinning, convinced he's stacked the deck so high against the hero that defeat is guaranteed. But Setsuna isn't even looking at his opponent. His eyes are darting around the arena, desperate to spot Layla. While he stresses over the missing kids, Akhtar starts chirping, mocking him for spacing out, and looking completely gassed. The peanut gallery joins the roast session, claiming that melee users are absolute trash against a ranged build. The ranged rep decides to stop talking and start blasting winding up to end the match right then and there. Setsuna braces for impact and throws up his mana guard, hoping to tank the hit. But crack, the shield shatters instantly, and our boy takes massive damage, leaving him bloody and exposed. The villain cackles, calling the display pathetic. As Setsuna struggles to his feet, he questions why Akhtar is stalling. Usually ranged mages spam their cooldowns the second they smell blood to secure the win. But this guy, he's just toying with his food. The psycho flashes a grin, seemingly impressed. He realizes the hero is still analyzing tactics even while getting stomped. He points a finger, telling Setsuna to check his surroundings. Suddenly our boy realizes the trap he's been boxed in, stranded on a tiny island surrounded by a literal ring of lava. Even the bully in the stands is sweating bullets, terrified he's about to lose his bet. As if the vibe wasn't creepy enough, the ranged rep flashes a nightmare-fuel smile, babbling about perfection. He claims every move was part of his master plan and starts charging his storm cannon to deliver the fatality. Just then, Layla bursts into the arena, screaming that the children are safe. Boom, instant relief. The heavy weight vanishes from our boy's shoulders and he finally unlocks his full potential. Setsuna locks eyes with his opponent and announces that his preparations are finally complete. The psycho blinks, completely caught off guard by the sudden massive spike in the hero's mana. Turns out, while Akhtar was playing games, our boy was secretly using physical boosts to detoxify his blood and ramp up his cells. By trying to humiliate the hero, the villain basically dug his own grave. Akhtar refuses to accept reality and keeps charging his ultimate spell. His teacher screams from the sidelines, demanding he finish the job immediately. Within a split second, a massive beam of concentrated magic tears across the arena, heading straight for Setsuna. Nowhere to run. Our boy faces the blast head-on, swings his mana sword, and slices the energy beam cleanly in half. But he doesn't stop there. He deflects the shattered spell straight back at the sender. The entire stadium goes dead, silent jaws hitting the floor, not giving the guy a second to breathe. The ranged rep tries to panic fire another shot, confident the hero can't block twice. But before the words leave his mouth, Setsuna speed blitzes right in front of his face. The coward tries to apologize. But wham, our boy smacks the soul out of his body with a single punch. It's a clean KO. The hero takes the win, but as the crowd goes wild, the arena floor starts crumbling. The ground gives way, sending both fighters sliding toward the edge of the pit. The crowd screams as they plummet. Akhtar is totally out cold and helpless. If he hits that lava, he's toast. Even though the guy's a dirtbag, Setsuna dives to save him. He barely catches Akhtar's leg, but he's dangling over the magma with zero leverage to pull him up. Suddenly, the beast girl Carol swoops in. She summons her massive wolf Fenrir to snatch them from midair. Setsuna recognizes the high-level summoning magic immediately as the beast carries them to safety, triggering a massive cheer from the audience. Carol praises her summon and flashes a chill smile at Setsuna, checking if he's cool with the assist. Our boy thanks her, but mentally notes that she is a total powerhouse, definitely a top contender for the championship. He knows their future matchup is going to be brutal, and he needs to be ready. Meanwhile, the haters in the crowd are finally changing their tune about the hero. They realize his first win wasn't just luck. The kid is the real deal. Even the headmaster cracks a rare smile under his giant beard. But on the flip side, the ranged instructor is fuming at Akhtar. He refuses to accept the loss, swearing vengeance on the hero like a sore loser. Later, the squad and the instructor hype Setsuna up on the win, but he is only focused on one thing. The girl assures him the kids are safe and recovering in the infirmary. That update finally lets him breathe easy. The anxiety about their safety was eating him alive. But that tranquility is dead on arrival. A wave of pure, concentrated malice hits him. He spins around to track the threat, but it ghosts him instantly. Layla catches his flinch and checks in, but he waves it off with a generic "I'm fine." Internally, he knows that was a massive red flag, because for a split second he tasted magic saturated with raw bloodlust. Fast forward to that evening, and he's posting up solo by the forest boulders, clocking that there's only 1 week left until the grand finale. His mind drifts to that creepy, magical signature he picked up during the tournament. He needs to level up fast. Lionel pulls up, visibly confused, about why he got dragged out to the middle of nowhere. Setsuna cuts to the chase. He wants to learn a specific spell from Lionel the Comet Fist. That nickname hits Lionel like a truck. He freezes, admitting he hasn't heard anyone toss that title around in ages. He questions how a student dug up that intel. Setsuna clenches his hand, thinking back to the war stories he heard during his stint in the Mage Army before the time travel reset. Comet Fist wasn't just a nickname, it was the call sign of a melee mage who literally one-shot a nightmare dragon. By the time Setsuna enlisted in his past life, that mage was a ghost, and the tale was treated like an urban legend. But now, he's 100% sure the department head is that guy. Our boy drops into a respectful bow, begging to learn that legendary magic. Lionel tries to deflect, claiming Comet Fist is ancient history, but the hero isn't taking no for an answer. He tells the instructor straight up, "You're the strongest brawler mage I've ever seen." That stops the teacher in his tracks. He asks why the kid is so thirsty for power when he's already cracked compared to his peers. Setsuna's answer is cold, it's not enough. He refuses to hold another L, no matter how god-tier the opponent looks. Lionel cracks a grin, calling him an absolute wild card. He agrees to the training but drops a disclaimer: this isn't some curriculum a regular student messes with. As Lionel starts charging mana in his palm, the hero senses a terrifying density of energy, condensing into a single point. The instructor breaks it down: this is the Comet Fist. He's only unleashed it twice in his life, because it drains mana like crazy, but here's the kicker: it only takes one hit. He slams his fist into the dirt, and the impact is apocalyptic. A shockwave obliterates the zone, sending rocks and shrapnel flying in every direction. Setsuna is left slack-jawed, admitting the reality crushed his expectations. The man then gets technical, explaining that this move requires god-tier mana control. You have to compress an ocean of magic into a microscopic point, which makes it super risky to pull off in a one-on-one duel like the tournament. He shoots the hero a look: you still down? Instead of folding, our boy's eyes light up, proving he's absolutely game to master it. Seeing that hunger, the instructor agrees to coach him. Cut to Carol, who is chilling with a cup of tea while some guy hypes her up about making the finals. She politely thanks him, and he casually probes, asking if she thinks she can stomp the melee department's ace. The Beast Girl just offers a relaxed smile, not letting the pressure get to her. She says the future is unwritten, but she's planning to leave it all on the field. The guy drains his cup, and she goes to pour a refill, but the second she turns her back to serve him, the guy slides a glowing card and triggers it. A cursed seal burns onto the back of her neck, and she drops like a sack of bricks. The guy smirks, monologuing that Carol beating Setsuna is the best-case scenario. If that script fails, he'll just liquidate both of them personally. Meanwhile, our boy is on the grind, questioning if he's actually ready. The instructor is absolutely floored. When Setsuna nails the technique in just 1 week, a feat Lionel thought would take years, he certifies the hero, signaling the completion of the Comet Fist, aka the Charged Bullet arc. The finals roll around, and the stadium is packed to the rafters. The MC hypes up the climax of Elmridge Academy's 781st Intramural Showdown. First up is Carol from Summoning, walking out with a perfect win streak. Her opponent, the guy who broke the internet this tournament, Setsuna from Melee Magic. The crowd is split. One dude is betting the house on the Beast Girl, noting she's completely dominated the bracket. A girl counters that the hero is a beast in his own right, and after his last performance, she's fully on Team Setsuna. The trio of friends from earlier are screaming their lungs out. For the hero, too. The stage is set at the Goddess Ruins, expecting monumental collateral damage. A mage erects a heavy-duty force field around the pit. Layla sits with Lionel, noting this is going to be a clean fight. The instructor is lost in thought, while our boy locks eyes with the headmaster, remembering the deal about unlocking a second magic class. Carol sizes him up, noting that the hero looks like he's locked in and ready for war. She's going all in, planning to unleash Fenrir and throw everything she's got at him. The MC announces the start of the showdown everyone has been waiting for. The bell barely rings before she summons her beast, hopping on its back like a total boss. Our boy doesn't waste a second weaving to dodge the incoming rush. He instantly clocks that her glacial bomb is loaded with razor-sharp ice shrapnel. Seeing him dance around the blast zone, the girl admits he's got wheels but throws shade, doubting he can keep that cardio up forever. She launches another volley, so the hero flips the switch on his physical amplifier, boosting his speed tenfold. Moving like a literal blur, he sidesteps the assault and closes the gap, getting right in her face to strike. Layla breathes a sigh of relief, seeing the strategy pay off. But the department head isn't sold yet. He drops some lore on her, explaining that familiars are basically walking nukes of dense mana, meaning the beast will regenerate from damage instantly. Carol gives Setsuna props for the effort but decides to stop playing nice, tapping into Fenrir's power to flash freeze the stage itself. Our boy is floored as the entire arena turns into a sheet of ice. He realizes the mana-infused chill acts like a force field he can't cross. Watching from the shadows, that same shady guy notes that Fenrir is about to go beast mode, wondering how the hero plans to survive this one. Our boy knows basic attacks won't scratch this thing, and every second, the clock ticks. His odds of winning drop. With that in mind, he improvises using the debris on the ground as parkour stones. To stay mobile, betting it all on his Comet Fist. He manifests a blade of pure energy, bracing himself as Fenrir crashes into his cover. Up in the stands, the haters in the crowd start doubting the hero again, claiming he's totally outclassed by a summoner. This time, even the instructor is sweating bullets. The redhead spots his panic and asks for the tea. He waves it off, but internally, he's doing the math on Charged Bullet, knowing it's usually a one-and-done move because of the insane mana drain, making it suicide in a one-on-one duel. But thanks to the hero's god-tier control, he's actually trying to condense that energy right into his fist, even though it's a massive gamble. Meanwhile, Carol realizes she has zero clue what he's cooking up. and decides she needs to wrap this up pronto. She summons a second beast, the Sky Terror Garuda, right next to Fenrir. Drago's jaw hits the floor, seeing her dual-wield summons, and Lionel admits that is some next-level talent. Both monsters rush our boy in a pincer attack, sending his squad into panic mode. Miraculously, he catches them both with his bare hands, shoving them back. He shoots the furry girl, a look that says, "I knew you'd pull that ace card eventually." Carol is absolutely shook that he tanked that hit and can't process it. While she's stunned, our boy primes the massive mana payload he's been charging in his fist. But before he can let it rip, that mysterious student intervenes, snapping his fingers. Suddenly, the sigil on Carol's neck goes haywire, and she screams in pure agony. The hero abandons the fight, sprinting toward her as he realizes this energy feels way too much like the Death God's magic. He knows it's true, but can't figure out how that's even possible here. The furry girl starts muttering like she's possessed before letting out a blood-curdling scream. Dark energy explodes from her body, spawning a horde of shadow monsters that lunge straight for the hero. The audience is paralyzed with shock, wondering if this is part of her kit. Lionel clocks it immediately. That dark aura definitely isn't hers, and he screams for the match to be stopped. He demands the barrier be dropped and asks what the formation mage is doing. However, the guy behind the dark magic reveals the trap. Only the caster can dissolve the wall, meaning they have to hunt down the formation mage first. Bad news. That mage is already a hostage. As monsters swarm, Setsuna figures the puppet master has to be close. He pings his mana detection to track the source, but the mystery man taunts him to keep his eyes on the prize. Out of nowhere, the giant bird jumps him, smacking him with a pole and knocking him back. Layla watches in horror as the hero struggles to get back up. The villain smirks, convinced Setsuna will never spot him in the crowd, and is too weak to do anything anyway. Lionel senses the vibe shift. This is getting critical. The hero can't prep another charged bullet, and Carol is deteriorating fast. If this keeps up, she'll lose total control and it's game over for her life. She tries to crawl away, begging the hero to stay back as the shadow beasts close in. But our boy weaves through her attacks, marching steadily toward her while swatting monsters like flies. When a horned beast tries to check him, he grabs it by the horns and yeets it into the rest of the pack. The headmaster watches the chaos unfold as the department head sprints up the stairs. Terrified his student is about to die, he knows they need to find that mage yesterday, praying the hero can survive just a few more seconds. Out of nowhere, another nightmare beast rocking a jagged horn blitzes our boy. Slash. It gores him right in the leg, leaving Layla covering her mouth in total horror. Setsuna is running on fumes now. Watching from the shadows, the puppet master smirks, declares the hero is cooked, and orders his monsters to end it. The monster squad doesn't hesitate. They swarm him all at once, and honestly, in his current state, that is a straight-up death sentence. One gnarly familiar clamps its jaws onto his arm. Crunch. The pain is blinding, and Setsuna lets out a blood-curdling scream that echoes through the arena. Nobody can save him now. But through the haze of agony, Lionel's voice cuts through his memory. Don't just swing wildly. It is about proximity. Tank the damage, dodge the direct hits, stay solid, and get in close. He needs to stay laser-focused for that one kill shot. Setsuna snaps back to reality, realizing his high-risk defense actually worked. The shadow guy assumes Setsuna's arm is trash. But then he freezes. Did this kid let himself get bit? Just to channel his mana. Setsuna knows these beasts are in a frenzy. They smell blood and are ready to jump at the slightest opening, treating him like lunch. Big mistake. He funnels every ounce of his mana into one fist. Time to close the curtain on this show. Boom! The punch launches like a cannonball, literally shredding through every single summon in its path. The shockwave instantly KOs the beast girl, and she drops like a sack of potatoes. Setsuna ignores the pain, sprinting to check if she is still breathing. She is alive. He gently lays her down on the arena floor, while the entire stadium goes dead silent. The host finally snaps out of it and screams into the mic. Winner. For the first time in 100 years, melee magic takes the W. The crowd loses their minds. Confetti screaming the works. Students are whispering, "Yo, what was that final move?" Layla and Drago are vibing totally over the moon. Even the class bully is popping off in the stands. Turns out, the bully put all his cash on Setsuna. The only person not celebrating, the shady guy in the shadows. He never thought the underdog would actually pull it off. He scrubs his tracks, but there is one loose end, the formation mage. He has got to go. Suddenly, the hair on his neck stands up. A weird aura. Did someone trace the mage's mana signal? Thinking fast, he brands a magical symbol on the mage's back to tag him. Meanwhile, Lionel senses the disturbance and sprints toward the source. He bursts in, but he is a second too slow. The formation mage is already out cold on the floor. Did I miss it? Lionel wonders. Back in the arena, the barrier dissolves and the headmaster floats down like a deity. Summoning that many beasts took its toll, the headmaster notes. But Setsuna isn't buying it. She was being puppeted, he insists. The headmaster scans her and frowns. You are right. There is a dark artifact at play here. I will handle this, he assures the crowd. Green healing light surrounds Carol, and then the big boss turns to our boy. You proved your strength today, kid. He nods. I will keep my promise. Setsuna flashes a tired but satisfied grin. Come to my office later. The headmaster vanishes. Setsuna finally drags himself to the infirmary. The healer wraps him up like a mummy. Listen, she warns, these wounds are nasty. You are not at 100% yet. She orders bed rest. Setsuna throws on a fresh fit and tries to chill, but a knock at the door ruins the vibe. Come in. The whole squad rolls up, Lionel, Layla, Drago, and the kids. Layla immediately rushes him, checking for damage. I'm good, seriously, Setsuna laughs. He rotates his injured arm to prove it is still attached. Layla breathes a sigh of relief. Drago grins, slapping him on the back with pure pride. You are the pride of melee magic now, brother. The kids are bouncing off the walls, reenacting his moves. The party clears out, leaving just the teacher and student. Lionel's face gets serious. The formation mage is awake. He is stable. Carol is still weak, Lionel explains, but she is out of the danger zone. Once she wakes up, we get answers. We will find out who pulled the strings. One thing is for sure, this wasn't an accident. Someone was trying to take Setsuna out permanently. Do you have any suspects? Lionel asks. Cut to nightfall. A shadowy figure creeps down the hallway toward a guarded room. He tries the handle locked by a magical barrier. Cute, but for him, useless. He shatters the spell like glass and steps inside. There she is, Carol, helpless in bed. Take her out first, he thinks. Then deal with Setsuna. No loose ends allowed. He launches a lethal spell, but Clang a Blade intercepts it mid-air. Setsuna steps out from the darkness. I had a feeling the rat would come back to finish the job, but his heart sinks. He really hoped he was wrong. Standing there, smirking in the moonlight, is his best friend Leo. You caught me, Leo laughs totally unbothered. But good luck proving it, Setsuna. Our boy admits it started as a hunch, but that little display just sealed the deal. He's fully convinced now. Since the cat's out of the bag, his friend suggests taking this outside. Moving away from prying eyes, our hero's mind races. Knowing his body is nowhere near healed, fighting like this is a recipe for disaster. Leo catches the grimace and tells him to fix his face, then demands to know when the suspicion started. Setsuna breaks it down. Disappearing right after the selection ritual was the first major red flag. It was also bizarre that Leo wasn't picked as the ranged magic rep. But the real kicker came later that night, when he picked up on a familiar vibe, an aura chillingly similar to what he felt during the intramural finals. Boom! Suspicion confirmed. He sensed the death god's rot lurking inside Leo. This catches the so-called friend off guard, and he asks if Setsuna really just dropped the death god name. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts, and sinister red markings crawl across his face. Flashing a wicked grin, he grills the hero on what he actually knows about the deity. Our boy feels the magic density spike instantly, and realizes Leo is a full-blown servant of the death god. If that's the case, he has to be put down right here, right now. The guy tosses their friendship in the trash like it meant nothing, clearly planning to toy with the hero before ending his life. Zero hesitation. Our boy manifests a mana sword and charges straight in for the kill. Bad move. His friend disintegrates the blade with a casual wave. The moment hits differently, feeling terrifyingly similar to that past nightmare battle. Leo brags that he earned the death god's trust, unlocking disintegration magic, just one tool in his loaded arsenal. It doesn't matter what spell is thrown at him, nothing connects. The hero launches another assault, only to get shut down effortlessly. Still, Setsuna refuses to fold. He spots a tell, the disintegration only triggers at the exact moment of impact. If he can blink behind him and land a blindside hit, he might stand a chance. Sounds solid on paper, but when he executes the move, his friend blocks it without even looking. Leo starts roasting him, bragging that his mana perception is on a whole other level. Next second, he blasts our boy with a fireball, sending him ragdolling backward. He admits the hero is a pest, especially for surviving this long with just hands. He claims Setsuna would have been a beast if he'd actually gone for the ranged magic department. Leo's voice gets weirdly dark as he mumbles that it was his own choice, so there's no turning back. Deciding to wrap this up, he drives an electric spike straight into the hero's leg. Our boy screams, the agony amplified by his unhealed wounds from the last match. But he swallows the pain and demands to know why. The answer, chillingly simple. No grand plan, he's just sick of this world, finding sick satisfaction in tearing down what others built. Setsuna is floored by this twisted logic. As painful flashbacks flood his mind, he snaps, screaming at his former friend for slaughtering innocents. Over something so petty, questioning if the thing standing in front of him is even Leo anymore. As the enemy winds up again, our boy realizes the mana blade won't cut it. He needs a nuke, one overwhelming strike, potent enough to end this instantly. Channeling the memory of his clash with the death god, he tells himself quitting isn't in the cards. He rushes in for the finishing blow, just as his friend unleashes hell. Our boy knows he's cooked, it's too fast to block. But right before impact, A pristine white flame materializes out of thin air, intercepting the blast. Even the traitor looks shook. He knows that technique. Suddenly, another white flame rockets toward him, and he barely scrapes up a shield in time. Our boy whips his head around and spots Headmaster Aura, perched on a rooftop with his majestic dragon. The old man leaps down, asking if he's tardy, but our boy assures him the timing was clutch. He turns his gaze to Leo, asking if he's the architect behind the earlier contest disaster. The villain actually looks impressed. The headmaster pieced it together. The old-timer explains, he's been tracking him ever since he sniffed out that impure mana. Now the kid is genuinely starstruck. He admits the headmaster is the real deal. But despite the suspicion, the old man was secretly praying. It wasn't one of his own students. With a heavy heart, he charges up another massive white flame volley. He offers one final ultimatum: surrender now. But judging by the look on Leo's face, that's a hard pass. The headmaster commands the dragon to fire, and the beast unleashes its signature blaze skill. Setsuna feels the raw, terrifying pressure of the strike, but his former friend stands like a statue. He calmly notes that the white dragon is the apex summon, admitting that without the death god's borrowed power, he'd be toast. That last strike was lethal. The headmaster finally clocks exactly what the kid is throwing at them: magic disintegration. He confirms the legends are real. When our hero asks if he saw this coming, the old man drops some heavy lore. Ancient archives from the Silverlock bloodline warned of a shadowy force, a threat passed down for centuries. If that power wakes up, it's basically the apocalypse. And this disintegration spell, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Leo starts trash-talking, bragging that he's untouchable, and even has the audacity to call the headmaster by his first name. Then he flexes hard, stacking 3 distinct elements together. Our boy stares in shock. That's triple attribute fusion magic. Leo hovers in midair, charging up, and unleashes a catastrophic energy nuke. Suddenly, the headmaster's eyes shift colors. He barks a sharp command to the hero: move 2 steps right now. Our boy doesn't ask questions, and barely clears the blast zone. The headmaster weaves through the attack effortlessly, leaving the kid totally shook. Leo is racking his brain trying to figure out that countermove. The old man catches the confusion on his face and reveals he's not the only one who can nullify spells. But instead of panicking, the kid just smirks and calls it a neat trick. Then he decides to stop holding back. He plays his trump card, and a suffocating pitch-black aura erupts from his body. Our boy freezes. He knows that vibe anywhere. That is straight-up death god magic. Leo winds up for the kill, announcing he's about to wipe the slate clean, leaving 0 survivors. Even the headmaster starts sweating. Knowing this blast could level the entire academy, the old man barks an order for our hero to get into position immediately. He unleashes a swarm of shimmering magic butterflies. Riding his dragon, they soar sky-high, aiming to draw the kid's aggro away from the ground. Leo clocks the strategy instantly. They're just playing defense. But hey, he loves a challenge, so he decides to humor them. Their energies collide, but Leo's dark magic absolutely devours the white flames, slamming straight into the dragon with brutal force. With the summon vaporized, he smirks, asking the old man if he's ready to tap out. The headmaster meets his gaze and actually nods. You're right, I'm done. But as the dragon crumbles into dust, our boy bursts through the debris like a bullet. He dive bombs straight for Leo. The villain just laughs, confident his barrier will tank the hit without a scratch. Big mistake. The hero breaks the sound barrier, shredding that shield like wet tissue paper and connecting a haymaker right to Leo's face. The earth splinters beneath them as his friend gets knocked out cold. But the recoil is nasty. Our boy takes heavy damage from the sheer force. The explosion was insane. Watching the dust settle, the headmaster realizes even disintegration magic has a hard counter. It has limits. Setsuna tightens his fist, knowing his gut instinct was spot on. Going full melee was the play. If you punch faster than the magic can rot you, the spell becomes useless. Thinking the nightmare is over, he limps over to the headmaster, who gives him props for the incredible save. But Leo, he's built different. He drags himself back up, bloody but grinning, and actually applauds the hero. You actually exceeded my expectations. Our boy stares in horror. How is he still standing after eating a comet fist, point blank? With a twisted smirk, the friend declares it's his turn. He unleashes a torrent of dark energy from 0 distance. No time to dodge. Our boy desperately raises his mana sword to tank the blast. But Leo was playing 4D chess. He laced the blast with disintegration magic, shattering the hero's blade the second it made contact. Without defense, the dark wave launches him like a ragdoll, slamming him brutally into the wall. Severely broken, he hits the floor. As his vision goes blurry, Leo's voice drifts in. He sounds disappointed in his own strength. Our boy's fading mind races. Did Leo just fuse ranged attacks with decay magic? Impossible. That shouldn't work. Before he blacks out, his mind drifts back to the old days, target practice in the yard. He remembers telling his friend, "You're a natural genius, but if you ever slack off, I'll leave you in the dust." Leo just laughed it off, saying how good it felt to get praised by a prodigy. Snap back to the carnage. Leo readies another blast, aiming dead center at his former best friend. What do you mean? Our boy gasps. Leo just points behind him. Take a look. He turns to see a nightmare. His allies are broken, being slaughtered by monsters. Leo sneers, calling him a disgrace to the title of hero. You're a failure. You abandoned them. The cruel words loop endlessly in his mind. Setsuna jolts awake, bandaged and battered in a hospital bed. The redhead is right there, letting out a massive sigh of relief. Thank God you're back. He blinks, confused. Infirmary, she explains softly. We brought you here. You've been out cold for 3 days. I was terrified. But all he feels is the crushing weight of his own failure. Useless again. When it mattered most, he couldn't do a single thing to stop the chaos. Totally outclassed by the death god, just like his previous life. He chokes back the emotion and asks about the headmaster. He's in his office, she says. Emergency meeting with the department heads. He immediately swings his legs out of bed. Hey, wait, she protests, but he's already grabbing his clothes. I need answers, he mutters, ignoring her warning that his body is still a wreck. He puts a gentle hand on her shoulder. Sorry to worry you, but this can't wait. He limps out the door. Cut to the headmaster's office, where the high-stakes meeting just wrapped up. The old man thanks his staff. Lionel sighs, noting that their workload just tripled. Silas scoffs, blaming the chaos on that brat. Right on cue. The door creaks open. Headmaster, the old man beams, genuinely happy to see his student vertical again. Silas looks like he swallowed a lemon, but the instructor steps in, placing a reassuring hand on Setsuna's shoulder. You've been through the ringer, kid. We were worried. He hints that the interrogation can wait. Details later. The room clears out, leaving our boy alone with the headmaster heavy with guilt. Convincing himself he's the reason everything went south, he reaches a shaky hand toward the headmaster, desperate to know the aftermath. His body screams in protest, but the old man tells him to pump the brakes. He's still wrecked and needs to heal. Then comes the debrief after our boy passed out. Leo admitted he was itching to finish the fight right there, but the guy was running on mana fumes. He ghosted, figuring a rematch down the line would be way more hype. The headmaster admits it was a golden opportunity missed, but he knew whatever nightmare fueled that dimensional rift was way above their pay grade. When the rematch happens, they'll need to bring their absolute A-game. Our boy slumps down, bringing up that mysterious entity, and the tear in reality the headmaster also clocked. That rattles the old man. He asks if the kid has any intel on who that was, but before an answer comes out, he pivots. The real question is just how deep does our hero's knowledge actually go? The headmaster presses him. He even knew about the secret dual specialization. Trust is thin. Our boy feels the walls closing in, and wonders if he should spill the beans. Would the old man actually buy the whole "I'm from the future" spiel? The headmaster catches the hesitation. He asks why the silence. Suddenly, a light bulb goes off in our hero's head. He tells the headmaster to inspect the amulet of resurgence. The old man takes a closer look, eyes widening. Realizing the spirit of time's blessing has vanished, he connects the dots instantly. Someone drained it. To rewind the clock, our boy confirms the theory. He lost everything in that timeline and used the amulet to jump 10 years into the past. He drops the full lore, the death god, the apocalypse, and how. The headmaster gets taken out by the cultists. The old man admits it sounds insane, but the empty amulet is cold, hard proof. The future must have been absolute hell. To force a retreat a full decade back, the old man rests a heavy hand on Setsuna's shoulder. Realizing the kid has been carrying the weight of the world solo, he promises him, I've got your back. Always. The tension snaps, replaced by massive relief. With this powerhouse in his corner, he finally sees a path to victory. Maybe, just maybe, Doomsday is cancelled. Then the headmaster drops a bombshell he's going to teach him. A secondary magic style specifically to counter the death god. This isn't your standard textbook spellcasting. It's elemental arts. To kick off training, they take a field trip to the massive world tree. The old man reveals this was his childhood hangout. Then he breaks down the mechanics. It's about syncing mana with elemental spirits, turning the caster's body into a literal power generator. Because it's so unique, elemental magic starts from a totally different baseline than standard magic, meaning it stacks with other styles for an insanely versatile combat build. Our boy is skeptical. Is that even legit? The headmaster decides to skip the lecture and go straight to the demo. He powers up, eyes flaring with an intense, blinding light, and our boy clocks the color shift, exact same vibes as during the Leo brawl. Then the twist. Let's play rock, paper, scissors. Our boy is totally lost. You're too banged up to duel, the headmaster shrugs, explaining the method to his madness. It's just a time killer. They start playing, and the headmaster sweeps every single round, taunting him to go again. Loss after loss. Finally, our boy rage quits and asks what the gimmick is. The spirit of time, the headmaster reveals with a smirk. It grants foresight, seeing seconds into the future. Nature is crawling with these spirits, and depending on which one you sign a contract with, you get different buffs. Wind grants flight. Water boosts evasion stats to god-tier levels. Setsuna is floored. The potential here is limitless, and it's the perfect upgrade for his melee build. But there's a catch. He can't practice until he locks down a contract with a spirit. The master tells him to give it a shot. He demonstrates zoning out and merging his aura with the wild. Our boy tries to mimic the flow, closing his eyes, but hits a dead end. Nothing happens. Anxiety starts creeping in, but the old master cuts him off, telling him straight up that his feelings are the enemy right now. To truly sync with nature, he's got to go full blank slate. Zero thoughts, zero vibes, just total emptiness. Our boy inhales sharp, diving back in, but the fear of failure is a crushing weight in his skull. The headmaster clocks the struggle instantly, shutdown order issued. The old man drops a bomb. Mastering this took him 3 whole years. With the death god's arrival clocked at 5 years out, it feels like they've got breathing room. But our hero shatters that illusion. The death gods, apostles, aren't waiting. They could strike right now. Just like the big bad, these guys are isekai nightmares, wielding magic that breaks the rules. That friend, yeah, definitely, one of them. In his previous timeline, he barely scraped a win against just one of these monsters. Hearing this grim intel, the headmaster confirms the Silverlock archives actually mention these freaks. He gets why our boy is sweating bullets. But speedrunning this training is a recipe for disaster. Then a lightbulb moment, the dungeon raid. The perfect grinding spot. It's the ultimate pressure cooker to shatter his limits and force an evolution. But here's the kicker. It's going to be a nightmare difficulty run, so he needs to recharge those batteries first. As the old man hypes up the danger, the camera cuts to the dungeon's gut teeming with eldritch horrors, just itching for a kill. Meanwhile, Leo strolls into a shadowy gothic castle setup. He drops a casual, "my bad" for the tardiness, and steps into the spotlight. Zagan, the 10th apostle, isn't having it, roasting him for having the audacity to keep the squad waiting. He mocks Leo for sliding back into his old sloppy ways. Suddenly, Puka, the 9th apostle, creeps along the ceiling like a human spider, cackling about Leo picking a fight with the wrong main character. He can't believe the mess Leo managed to stir up, especially since he tucked tail and ran. Leo, revealed as the 12th apostle, shrugs it off, explaining he was just reconnecting with an old buddy and got a little too lost in the fun. Classic villain behavior. Zagan snaps, demanding Leo wipe that smirk off his mug before he does it for him. The air crackles as they lock eyes, Zagan winding up for a strike. But before the first blow lands, a voice cuts through the tension, calling them out for acting like unruly brats. The newcomer warns them to check themselves, reminding them that screwing with the god's master plan is a no-go. Enter Satanakia, the 2nd apostle. Big boss energy. He flexes his aura, crushing the room with pure pressure, daring them to speak. Zagan backs down but points a finger at Leo, asking if the boss plans to punish the kid who botched the job. He offers to step in and handle the cleanup permanently. Puka laughs from the shadows, claiming if anyone's doing a hit job, it should be him. He promises a bloodbath worth watching, but Satanakia shuts it down cold. Not necessary. The situation is already under control, he mentions. His special operative is already in play to wrap things up. Cut to a few days post-tournament. Back in the classroom, our MC is blending in with the mob. Layla slides over, worried sick, asking if he should really be out of bed. He nods, claiming that just zoning out in a chair isn't exactly hard labor. Layla's not buying it, though. It's barely been a few days since that brutal finale, and he's already banged up again. She senses something sketchy is going on. Satsuma flashes back to the headmaster's orders going public with the death god intel. Is a strategic error right now. The old man is playing it close to the vest, trusting only a handful of elite instructors to lock down the academy and hunt for Leo. Also, the elemental magic grinding, that's on indefinite pause. MC apologizes to Layla for making her play pharmacist with the herbal meds, but insists he's solid. Internally, he's panicking. He needs to heal as soon as possible to get back on the grind. Fists clenched. He swears to speedrun his recovery. Layla takes her seat just as Instructor Lionel marches to the front, noting the full house. Then he drops the next big event, interdepartmental joint training. The class is buzzing with questions. Lionel breaks it down. It's a massive crossover collab between departments. The tournament was about watching and learning solo combat styles. But this is about squad dynamics. Mixing classes, finding synergies, and leveling up together. Satsuma connects the dots. The administration is trying to force unity before the real threats arrive. Lionel points to the projector screen, and everyone looks up to see an image of a 1-star. Boom, a massive underground dungeon materializes right in front of them. He breaks it down, explaining, this is a high-stakes replica, identical to the deadly scenarios they'll face in the real world. Because it's straight up dangerous, participation is strictly voluntary. The grind starts in 1 week, so he warns everyone to save their energy until then. Our boy flashes back to the headmaster's warning about the joint training, and realizes he needs to hit full recovery mode and get back to peak performance before the chaos begins. That evening, class is dismissed, and he's strolling with his friend, who asks if he's down to grab dinner, since he needs to shovel down calories to recharge his mana for the upcoming Hell Week. He starts brainstorming menu options. Suddenly, whispers erupt around them as students clock him as the intramural champion, looking at him like he's a god-tier melee mage. One girl is blushing hard while another confesses to her bestie that she's been totally obsessing over him since that final showdown. Layla throws some shade, noting how everyone is suddenly hopping on the bandwagon considering they were calling him a total loser just 5 minutes ago. Just as he attempts to bail, 3 guys block his path. It's a blonde dude flanked by 2 red-headed lackeys. The blonde guy gives him a nod, acknowledging him as this year's top dog. When Setsuna asks for a name, the crowd answers for him. That's Carl, the leader of an elite noble salon. Word on the street is he's planning to enlist in the mage army the second he graduates. The blonde kid extends an invite to his salon, acting like he's bestowing a massive favor. Our boy is just confused, wondering what this club even is. The kid explains it's a VIP social club for highborn mages, definitely not for someone with a melee background. But he's willing to grant a special pass. He figures having the champion of the intramural contest on the roster would be a massive flex for the salon's reputation. The fangirls nearby start losing it, excited that their hero is getting scouted by the elites. With a super smug grin, Carl drops a warning an elite mage needs to watch his circle. He points a finger at Layla, sneering that hanging out with low-tier commoners like her is going to tank his social credit. Our boy doesn't hesitate. He shuts the offer down cold, leaving the 3 stooges stunned. He spins around to leave, dropping a truth bomb about how little someone's background actually matters. He signals his friend to follow and walks off like a boss. The noble kid is fuming. One of the lackeys mutters that, "Nobody talks like that to a winner." Carl snaps. He whips out a chain weapon, screaming about, "How dare this peasant disrespect the nobility." He lunges forward, aiming to slice him up with the blade on his chain. Before the hit lands, Setsuna barely turns his head and watches Layla step up. She intercepts the attack, reminding the brat that unauthorized dueling violates academy law. She tells him straight up he's the one being trashy here. She crushes his arm in her grip and he stares at her furious that a mere commoner has the guts to check him. His buddy rushes in to save him, and he manages to yank his hand free. Realizing they're outmatched, the trio retreats, with Carl screaming the classic "I'm telling my father" threat. Layla shoots a smile at the hero, and he mentally notes that she's leveling up fast. Suddenly, a voice calls out from behind. He wonders who it is and spots Carol waving enthusiastically. The furry girl is beaming, thrilled to see he's back on his feet. She smiles, insisting her recovery is all thanks to him, and she wants to return the favor. Blushing a little, she invites him to come back to her room for a bit. Hearing this, Layla's mind immediately goes to the gutter, wondering what kind of thanks she has in mind. Cut to Carol's room, where she welcomes the hero and his squad. She explains she's cooking a feast to thank them for saving her life, though it's going to take a minute to prep. Our boy feels awkward, insisting she didn't need to go to all this trouble. But the girl waves it off, swearing it's no big deal, and asks him to chill while she heads to the kitchen. The red-haired girl sprints over to assist, realizing it's way too much work for one person. She also realizes the furry girl just wanted to feed the hero, and she was totally overthinking the whole invite to the room thing. Meanwhile, Drago is scratching his head, wondering why he even got an invite. The girl just smiles, saying the more the merrier, creating a wholesome vibe. The girls hit the kitchen. Layla admits she's never seen ingredients like this, totally clueless that food could be used for healing. Carol explains these are specialized recovery dishes. Meanwhile, our boy scans the room, his mind drifting back to the headmaster's intel. The furry girl has zero memory of the traitor, likely because the shock wiped her brain. But there's a dark possibility his former friend tampered with her memories. While he's relieved she's safe, he can't shake the paranoia that someone might target her all over again. The buff guy catches him zoning out and asks what's weighing on his mind. He points out that our boy tends to overthink everything and tells him to just touch grass and relax. Just as the hero considers taking that advice, a deafening bang tears through the silence, sounded like a straight-up explosion in the kitchen. Moments later, the beast girl peeks through the doorway and waves Drago over for backup. But the second he steps inside, she shoves a super tight apron into his hands, leaving him staring at it like, "Do I really have to wear this?" She hits him with an apology, explaining the only spare she's got is a maid outfit. With no other choice, they get to work whipping up a storm together. In no time, a massive feast is laid out. Just as Setsuna pulls up a chair, Layla sheepishly admits they might have gone a little overboard with the portions and cooked way too much food. He just grins, telling them it looks absolutely fire since they poured so much effort into making it for him. He vows to polish off every last bite. Bro actually used a physical boost buff to stretch his stomach beforehand. Talk about dedication to the grind. As he shovels food and the redhead leans in, worried he's forcing himself to eat. But the hero just flashes a relaxed smile and assures her he's good. He immediately pivots, asking who made the egg soup because the umami flavor is hitting different. Drago smirks, clearly hyped that his dish is a hit. He points out there's still a ton left in the pot, so he better keep eating. Hearing that, our boy instantly demands a refill. The beast girl stands there totally shook that her cooking just got outclassed by the musclehead. As everyone enjoys the banquet, our boy soaks in the vibes, thinking about how chill this feels, to just hang out like this. It brings back memories of the timeline before he time traveled back, when he and his crew spent every day living in peace and happiness. Until the death, God stole everything. Setsuna makes a silent blood oath promise right there. History isn't repeating itself. He refuses to lose to Vidra or anyone else ever again. Cut to 2 weeks later, it's D-Day for the dungeon joint training. A massive crowd of students swarms the dungeon gate, the air buzzing with excited chatter. Our main character and his best bud are in the mix. Drago notes the hero is looking way healthier, and he confirms he's feeling 100%, crediting it all to that recovery cuisine, giving him a massive stat boost. Hearing the praise, his friend waves it off, claiming it's the bare minimum for a homie. He adds that the recovery buffs only really kick in if you keep the diet consistent. With this tank on his squad, our boy is certain they'll crush this dungeon without even breaking a sweat. It's full trust and reliance. Suddenly, an upperclassman duo rolls up, asking if they've been kept waiting. The guy introduces himself as Mifune, a third-year vet from the Formation Magic Department, announcing their squad mates for this drill. The hooded girl pulls back her cloak, introducing herself as Yuzuhara, and says she's hyped to work with them. Drago steps up, introducing himself as a Mela mage, and the hero follows suit. The Formation mage slaps them both on the shoulder with a grin and asks if Setsuna is the champ from this year's intramural beatdown, laughing that they're in safe hands before strutting ahead. Drago leans over to the hero, noting that the senior seems way more pumped than expected. The girl flashes a smile, whispering sarcastically that it was sweet of him to put the rookies at ease. The senior's face twists into a sinister grin. He replies, he's done playing nice. Right on cue. The instructor takes the stage, announcing the interdepartmental raid is live. He introduces himself as Giovanni, the supervisor for this session, and a prof from Formation Magic. He explains that the Formation and Melee squads are linking up to hit the demonic ruins. It's a 1-star class dungeon, crawling with ancient beasts and subterranean creeps. Students have to sync up to take these threats down. Giovanni conjures a magical bracelet out of thin air, displaying it to the crowd. He explains that this drill counts their contributions. Every move they make gets tracked and recorded in the bracelet's memory drive. Slaying mobs or snagging loot earns points. The squad with the highest kill count takes the gold medal from the academy. But here's the kicker. Anyone scoring over 100 points qualifies for field ops with the Royal Mage Army. Hearing Royal Mage Army triggers a core memory for Setsuna, back to the days when the kingdom's heavy hitters assembled. He remembers the faces of the comrades he fought beside in that legendary unit. If he nails this and joins the training, he'll reunite with them. Meanwhile, the instructor starts handing out the tracking bands, warning everyone to stay in the green zones and avoid the deep end. Ignore the warning, and you'll face monsters way above your pay grade. He explicitly forbids diving into the dungeon's lower levels. If things go south, he instructs them to pump mana into the bracelet, triggering an emergency warp spell that yanks them back to safety. The hero's already locked in on that 100-point target, but he freezes when he and Drago blurt out, "We're aiming for 200 points," at the exact same second. They lock eyes, and his buddy smirks, noting that today, it is finally go time. Our boy nods, realizing the guy actually has a point. The instructor barks out, asking if the squad is locked and loaded. The crew floods into the dungeon entrance. The second the joint training kicks off, Setsuna and Drago sprint out the gate like they are speed-running the level. While tearing up the track with his best bud, our boy clocks their location, the Demonic Ruins, a classic 1-star difficulty dungeon. Crafted by some ancient civilization, this underground maze is still packed with lethal traps and sweet loot chests. The mobs down here have zero chill and will attack on sight. Even with a teleport safety net, he feels in his gut that this grind is going to be brutal. His homies suggest checking the horizon. A path opens up, dropping their jaws as they spot a colossal castle-like fortress, dominating the massive cavern. Brushing his hand against the wall, our boy wonders if this whole place was once part of some gigantic ancient plant life. It is like a whole ecosystem evolved right inside the ruins. He flashes back to the headmaster's speech about becoming one with nature, and how this training is supposed to drop major rewards and unlock deep insights into elemental magic mechanics. Moments later, the rest of the class catches up. Mifune is wondering why they are rushing, while Yuzuhara points something out that gets the whole crowd buzzing. Looks like they are facing a classic fork in the road. As one random student decides to take the easy route on the right, the senior immediately calls them out, roasting them as fools. He insists that in a raid like this, you have got to choose the hardcore path. He gestures toward a gnarlier route, commanding them to go that way. The hero silently agrees with the logic, thinking the blonde dude is not wrong. If they want to climb the leaderboard, they need to rack up as many points as possible. When Mifune asks if he is coming, our boy gets a weird vibe. He runs his hand over a nearby wall and realizes it is a glitch, a fake wall. The vegetation on this section is leveled up differently than the rest, hinting that there is a hidden zone right behind it. The senior thinks it might just be RNG, a coincidence, but the hero shuts that thought down immediately, saying he can hear a draft breezing through from the other side. Before he can even explain, Drago smashes the wall to reveal the truth. A secret passage unlocks. Our boy signals the move, and he and his buddy dive in while the senior admits the kid has got some insane perception skills. It is seriously impressive stuff. He adds that if luck is on their side, they are about to farm a ton of points. But as the hero and his pal sprint up the stairs, a massive boulder comes crashing down. Drago whips out his blade in a blur, shattering the rock instantly. Shards rain down, forcing the hero to weave through the debris. Our boy looks at him eyes wide, noting that Drago is absolutely locked in right now. The man clenches his fists, admitting he wants to flex on everyone and prove that melee magic is the current meta. More importantly, he refuses to let the hero carry the team. Suddenly, a lens flare behind them, and a volley of arrows screams their way. Our boy dodges the projectiles like he is in the Matrix, then immediately obliterates the trap mechanism. The buff dude is stunned by those god-tier reflexes, noting that the MC is always playing 4D chess while everyone else is playing checkers. He figures if they clear the traps, the seniors can tail them without breaking a sweat. Boom, treasure chest spotted. But before they can grab the loot, Mifune snipes it with magic. He thanks Drago for the assist with a smirk, swipes the loot and bags 15 points. The buff guy stands there completely shook. Realizing the rule is finders keepers, Drago vows he won't get played next time. The duo pushes forward, tension high. Drago suddenly picks up on a glitch in the wall texture and punches through, revealing another secret chest. But before his fingers can even graze it, the formation mage uses his hacks to yoink the chest for himself, pushing his score to 30 while Drago is stuck at 0. Deeper in the buff, Guy encounters a monster blocking the corridor. He goes full berserker mode, slicing limbs left and right. But right before the kill, Shot the senior swoops in and decapitates the beast, snatching the 10 points that belong to Drago. Later on, Drago finally manages to scrape together 10 points of his own, while Yuzuhara hits 30. But the senior keeps farming off them, boosting his own score to 55, which is pushing Drago to the breaking point. During a breather, the blonde guy starts trash-talking, claiming that despite Drago's skills, he has 0 map awareness. At this point, our boy sits at 25 points. He steps into the beef, reminding them of the fair play protocols. The points are supposed to be split evenly by the party. Ganking points from your own teammates, that is trash behavior. The girl tries to check the blonde guy, but he just scoffs, dismissing the complaints and calling the whole squad weak, accusing them of hiding behind the rulebook because they lack DPS. He claims the dungeon is a place to seize every advantage, and argues that if they are so salty about it, they should use their actual skills to stop him. Their whining just proves they are scrubs. Setsuna silently takes a mental note. Never underestimate Mifune's formation magic, which allows him to teleport objects freely using magic circles, a totally broken ability for catching opponents slipping. Even with the obvious downsides, he locks eyes on Yuzuha, trying to figure out her game. She's blitzing the monsters up front, totally ignoring the point system. It's definitely sus. He can't help but wonder if she's hiding some kind of secret agenda. They keep pushing forward. The scoreboard updates the girl, hits 50 points, while the blonde guy takes the lead with 80. He starts flexing, bragging. He only needs a few more kills to win. Right now, our hero is sitting at 35 points, and Drago is trailing with just 10. They step into a gloomy chamber, and the vibe instantly shifts. Pure dread. In the center of the room, something is waiting on a throne. 0 hesitation, the senior gets greedy and snatches the item with magic. Big mistake. Dark energy explodes outward, freezing him in place. Our boy instantly reads the situation. He dives in, yanking the guy back milliseconds before a massive energy beam obliterates the spot where he was standing. A grotesque arm smashes out, dragging a nightmare creature into the light. This is supposed to be a 1-star run. Yeah, right. The pressure here is way heavier than anything they've dealt with, up until now. Our boy IDs it immediately, the no-life king, a literal monarch of death. He knows this thing's gimmick one hit traps you in an eternal nightmare. The king roars, pissed that his nap was interrupted, and growls that they're gonna pay with blood. Drago's jaw drops since when do dungeon bosses talk? Setsuna screams that this is a code red situation and tells him to fall back. But instead of retreating, the buff guy just grins and asks how much XP and points this bad boy is worth. The monster ignores the taunt, aiming straight for the senior. The hero intercepts, parrying the lethal strike. Meanwhile, his buddy throws a haymaker, but Clank A barrier stops him cold. He's shook. This thing is casting magic circles from that far away. Suddenly, the dark energy slams him. He barely manages to survive, only scraping by, thanks to his mana shield. The monster goes full berserk, vowing to wipe them from existence. The air fills with magic circles. Our boy realizes the terrifying truth that level of magical control means this is at least a 4-star threat. The trap springs. Every attack fires at once, and a circle spawns right under Mifune. The hero snaps him out of his daze just in time, while his friend smashes the circle near the senior, saving his skin. As the veteran shakes off the shock, he sees the buff guy extending a hand to help him up. Simultaneously, our boy spots 2 more circles locking onto Yuzuha. She doesn't flinch, just stands there like a statue sensing the threat. He tackles her to safety, but when he checks on her, she looks totally unbothered. It's weird. Something about this whole setup feels wrong to him. Meanwhile, his friend carves a path through the magic, clearing the way. The hero taps his bracelet, a silent signal to Drago. The buff guy nods, confirming they're on the same wavelength. The senior hasn't got a clue what's cooking, and figures it's not his business. He just wants his points and an exit ticket out of this hellhole. Catching that grin, the buff guy shoots him a look. "You thinking about stealing my kill again?" The guy denies it, swearing he wouldn't betray the squad that just saved his life. He promises to play nice and help them out for now. Drago hears him out, but he's still determined not to let this guy swipe his points. As the chaos ramps up, Setsuna flashes back to his duel with Leo. That loss stung. He realized his charged shot back then lacked punch because it wasn't fully developed, costing him the win. That L taught him he needed to master the basics before chasing high-tier moves. His mind drifts to a chat with Lionel. After he and Drago wrapped up their court training, they asked for a way to get even stronger. The instructor had sighed and revealed his trump card, magically weighted bands he'd been saving. He explained that wearing these things during training would suppress their stats, but once removed, their power would skyrocket. But he warned the hero not to push it since he was still healing, calling it a brutal, old-school, brute force method that required discipline. They both thanked Lionel for the secret weapon. Back in the present, it's go time. Our boy knows the warm-up is over. They've been nerfing themselves since that day. Both he and Drago rip the bands off. The senior watches jaw on the floor, realizing they were fighting with a handicap. This entire time, the monster cues up another spell, forming a new circle. But with the limiters gone, the duo activates their boost and blurs into motion. They weave through the attacks with god-tier speed and clap back with heavy hits. Drago flies in with a bone-crushing kick, and the creature barely gets its guard up. It's pointless. Before the beast can even twitch, they blitz it, syncing up for a devastating combo strike that hits like a freight train. The upperclassman stands there paralyzed, unable to process the god-tier skill he's witnessing. A massive explosion rocks the zone. When the smoke clears, the no-life king is dust. Game over. Both of them just bagged 50 points apiece. Since they landed that finisher in perfect harmony, the blonde guy is reeling, questioning his own reality. Is this their actual power level? He's never seen melee mages throw hands like this before. Our MC turns to check on the girl, but she's ghosted, completely vanished. Suddenly, the floor starts heaving violently. A massive quake rips through the dungeon. Fissures crack open beneath their boots, and the senior nearly tumbles into the abyss. But the hero snags him with a clutch save. That's when the nightmare fuel kicks in, a massive horde of monsters, looming in the distance. Setsuna's pulse spikes. He knows something shady is going down in this dungeon. As the mob closes the gap, the trio engages. The hero screams for headshots to take them down, but the senior realizes something trash. Even though they're slaying, the point counter isn't moving. 0 XP gained. He figures this grind is a total waste of time. Amidst the chaos, our boy spots the glitch. The undead are respawning with some dark energy hacks. That explains the 0 points. Plus high-level mobs spawning in a dungeon like this. Totally sus. The hero catches a nasty vibe rising from the depths and asks if the others feel that sinister magic creeping up. Blondie thinks he's tripping, but our boy is locked in. He's convinced. He drops a bomb. The missing girl might be the mastermind here. Either way, they need to head downstairs. The senior starts whining about the plan, but the hero shuts him down. There's no other play. The guy gets offended, acting like they called him trash. Our boy doubles down, hitting him with cold facts. Bro, all you do is kill steal from juniors. Before the man can clap back, the MC dashes away. Blondie sees more mobs spawning and complains about how much he hates this training arc, but reluctantly tails the hero. Watching Setsuna and Drago fight, he realizes their chemistry is insane, like they've been duo queuing for years. The squad keeps pushing toward that mana signal. Finally, they spot the culprit, likely the root of this corruption. Hero IDs it as a new breed of eyeball monster, something totally undocumented, and spots a magic circle fueling the chaos. The senior sees an opening to snatch the kill, but Drago literally shoves him aside. Hero slices the giant eye wide open, securing 10 points. Suddenly, enemies start swarming from the rear. Our boy figures the zombies know their battery is under attack and are rushing to defend it, which just means more XP farming. His buddy is hyped to vent some rage and dives in. The senior, however, thinks these kids have a death wish. He's desperate to hit 100 points and speedrun his exit. MC asks him about his friend, and he guesses she bailed out of fear. The hero isn't buying it. Yuzuha didn't flinch. Even against the boss earlier, she's been giving off weird vibes all day. Between the unknown mobs and the dark magic in a one-star dungeon, the hero is getting a bad feeling. He suspects an apostle might be pulling the strings. If so, this zone is a death trap. Plus, there are innocent students caught in the crossfire. As the undead wave approaches, Drago calls for a hunt. The trio goes ham, and their scores start climbing steadily. After clearing the wave, Setsuna is sitting at 225 points. Drago has 210, and the senior hits 125. Goal achieved, he decides it's time to dip. The buff guy asks, "Aren't you going to look for your friend?" The blonde guy instantly waves it off, claiming they barely spoke, and her nice act felt forced anyway. He assumes she panicked and is crying in the lobby. As he turns to leave, the hero looks at his friend and says they'll have to find the girl themselves. But then, plot twist, Mifune's teleport bracelet bricks. Our boy calmly tells him to walk back. As the senior complains, the buff guy checks his gear and realizes the horror, none of their bracelets are working. They are trapped. The hero senses that familiar vile energy spiking again. He locks in, declaring he's going to hunt for the girl solo. His buddy isn't having it. He steps up to join, knowing full well this situation is about to get messy. Meanwhile, the upperclassman is spiraling, insisting they flag down the instructor. For all they know, the girl isn't even in this hellhole anymore. Our main guy snaps back, revealing he's still got a faint lock on her mana signature. He tells the senior to run back to the instructor alone if he's so worried. The senior is totally baffled. Why are they so desperate to descend into a suicide mission? But here's the kicker, he's too terrified to trek back alone. Talk about being stuck between a rock and a hard place. While he's practically hyperventilating, Drago coolly clasps his shoulder, suggesting they stick together to find her. The guy caves instantly, and the trio descends into the gloom. En route, the senior grills our hero. How exactly is he tracking her mana? Neither of them can feel a thing. Our boy just shrugs it off, claiming he's put in serious training hours. The deeper they go, the colder it gets, and the oxygen thins out. Suddenly, eerie noises echo through the darkness, and they move to investigate. Boom, they find the girl, but something is definitely off. She looks like a puppet on strings, totally possessed. The blonde guy squeezes his eyes shut, visibly shaken by her twisted state. Our MC instantly blocks Drago from rushing in, warning that she's ensnared in an ancient trap. The dungeon shows no signs of a triggered mechanism. He suspects Yuzuha unknowingly activated a cursed artifact, dripping with dark arts. It's the exact same relic his buddy snagged from the black market in the original timeline. It wasn't an accident. Someone planted this bait specifically for her. He explains the mechanics, only a specific counterspell can disable it, or a weapon infused with that same magic can shatter it. With zero hesitation, our boy powers through the barrier and yanks the girl out of the magic circle. She slumps into his arms, barely hanging on. He quickly pinpoints the source of the corruption, the earring she's wearing. Mifune is spiraling, wondering what happened during her disappearance, and if there's a fix for this mess. But Suna hoists her onto his back, insisting they monitor her closely. He breathes a sigh of relief that they located her, before things went past the point of no return. He vows to debrief the instructor later. Right now, our MC is convinced that the apostles are pulling the strings in this dungeon. The buff guy notes the insane amount of bizarre activity, but priority number one is evacuating the girl. Our boy commands the senior to trigger the teleportation spell. The senior gives it a shot, but it fizzles out again. He starts wondering if the instructor handed him a total dud. The hero grabs Yuzuha's bracelet to test it useless. Drago urges them to book it before they get trapped for good. Suddenly, a violent tremor rocks the floor. Another earthquake. Our boy knows that's the cue to get out now. His friend yells for everyone to move and takes point. The senior thinks sarcastically, never a dull moment. In this cursed hellscape, warning signs flash as rocks rain down. The buff guy starts smashing debris with his bare fists, clearing a lane for the senior. But it's too little too late. A massive cave-in completely seals their escape route. Assessing the chaos, our boy suggests a detour, Plan B. Meanwhile, Layla's squad is navigating the depths, shouting for any signs of life. They catch a faint cry for help and find a kid pinned under the rubble. They rush to extract him, and the redhead blasts him with healing magic to keep him alive. They grill him, is anyone else buried down here? The boy confirms there's one more victim. Her mind instantly flashes to her own friends, praying they aren't in the same boat. Back at the cave-in, Satsuma's crew is stranded. The buff guy considers trying to punch their way out, but the hero warns that brute force might set off a chain reaction and bring the whole ceiling down. His buddy argues that if they clear the blockage, they might have a shot at freedom. Our boy agrees but points out the suffocating lack of oxygen. While Drago weighs the risks, the hero drops a bomb. There's another way out, but they have to descend deeper into the abyss. Problem is, dragging the two injured seniors along would be a massive liability, so he makes the call to scout ahead solo. Watching him walk away, the blonde guy wonders if he's got a secret weapon hidden away. He knows the hero is a powerhouse, but the monsters waiting below, they're on a whole different level. Our boy admits it's a gamble, but he's pretty sure that quake wasn't natural. It was the dungeon boss waking up. That transport spell didn't fail by accident. The overwhelming mana pressure down here is jamming the signal. That settles it. This zone is way deadlier than a basic 1-star run. His buddy catches on fast, praising his sharp instincts for clocking the danger so fast. Our MC lets out a nervous chuckle, keeping the real reason to himself. It is classic déjà vu, straight from his time-traveling past. He has seen this movie before. The plan is set. Drago holds the fort while the senior wishes him Godspeed. Our boy flashes a confident grin, telling them to chill. He swears he has got this, but his pal insists leave a trail, just in case they need to come save his hide later. Solo mission accepted. He breaks away from the squad and descends into the dungeon's pitch-black depths. Doubts start creeping in. Can pure melee magic actually take down the boss? If he could just blast some fire or purification spells, cleaning up these undead freaks would be a cakewalk. But melee magic is all about physical impact. Its fatal flaw, zero elemental firepower. Yet amidst the doubt, something strange happens. A massive surge of energy starts swirling inside his gut. Back at the blockade, the big guy is going to town on the rubble. Muffin watches stunned. He used to think the guy's win at the melee magic tourney was pure luck. Seeing that raw power now, he realizes he was dead wrong. Drago and Setsuna ground for their skills. While Mafun just played dirty, he feels like a total clown. But the tank slaps some sense into him. Stay focused, we are getting out of here. Suddenly a voice echoes from the other side. Drago clocks it instantly. It is Layla's crew, he yells out. The redhead screams back, desperate to know if it is really him and where our MC is hiding. He breaks the news, the squad is safe, but the hero went rogue to find a way out. Since they are boxed in, he begs for an assist with the debris. Meanwhile, our boy plunges deeper. The atmosphere gets suffocating heavy with dread near the dungeon's core. He spies a massive gate. Could be the exit, maybe. But his gut screams boss battle. He is on a razor's edge now. It is creepy, so much dark energy, yet the room feels dead empty. High above, 2 pairs of eyes lock onto him. Boom, ambush. He dodges a split second before impact. Staring down the beast, he sees double 2 heads. It is a 2-headed hydra. Mystery solved. This monstrosity is why the dungeon went haywire. The thing is rotting alive. Someone forced this corpse back to life, and that reeks of Vidrak's dark magic. The beast exhales a toxic cloud. Our hero backflips out of the kill zone just in time. Linger too long and he is toast. He needs to end this fast before the dungeon collapses into total anarchy. He gulps down some clean air, grits his teeth, and launches a frontal assault, slamming his weapon into the beast. But the Hydra shrugs it off like nothing. Flashback time, he has fought one of these nightmares before. Rule number 1, it won't stay dead unless heads roll. He locks onto a single target. Past experience says his strikes will bounce right off that armored hide. So he aims for the soft spot, determined to decapitate at least one. But the second head spits a stream of acid. He swerves, but not fast enough. Droplets hiss as they dissolve his gear. A direct hit would have melted him to the bone. And just like that, the severed head grows back. Setsuna realizes the horror. This thing regenerates like a zombie on steroids. Hacking one at a time is a stalemate. He has to slice both heads in a single synchronized strike. If he had ranged magic, he could just spam spells and call it a day. But no, he wants to test a secret move. His mind drifts back to a failure from the past, when Lionel caught him trying to dual wield and called him out. Back then, it was an ambitious stunt, but his body could not cash the checks his mind was writing. The instructor laid it out: master your internal mana flow first or forget it, now. It clicks. Mana control is everything. He checks his current physique against his pre-time travel self. The rehab grind paid off, his control is tighter than ever. But this is the live fire test. No more practice runs. He focuses. Grip the main blade tight. Unsheath the second. He swings, but it lacks bite. Mid-air, the Hydra's tail smack checks him hard, ragdolling him into the wall. He lands on his feet, ready for round 2. Problem is that failed combo tanked his mana reserves, leaving him running on fumes. The Hydra launches another stream of corrosive acid, forcing the hero to scramble for cover, fully aware that a single drop could slow him down permanently. One slip-up means game over. His body is at its breaking point, and dying in this dungeon is definitely not on the agenda. Backing off, he realizes it is do or die time. Our boy steels his nerves, inhaling sharply to squeeze out every last drop of stamina. Locking in his focus, he baits the Hydra into smashing headfirst into the wall, then launches himself off the debris, and unleashes a blizzard of steel with his dual blades. After a savage combo, the Hydra's heads are finally severed from its neck. Just as predicted, the beast hits 0 HP, losing both heads triggered the limit of its regeneration factor. He glances at his trembling hand, realizing his dual-wielding proficiency is still pretty raw. If he wants to make those moves look effortless, he is going to need to grind a lot more XP in training. Suddenly, a slow clap echoes through the chamber. Instructor Giovanni steps out of the shadows, admitting that taking down his creation, with nothing but melee arts, is serious top-tier gameplay. He notes that the hero completely gapped Leo that night. Instead of flinching, our boy just drops the man's name, catching the instructor off guard. The hero explains calmly that this isn't his first rodeo, and he always runs the simulations for every possible worst-case scenario. Giovanni respects the hustle, acknowledging that tunnel vision gets you killed on the battlefield. He admits the hero is the total package: insane combat mechanics paired with a high battle IQ. The hero cuts to the chase with two questions. Is the instructor one of the apostles, and what is his endgame? The man smirks, revealing that ever since their duel in the intramural match, he has been obsessed with one idea. The hero is grade A material. He wants to harvest his corpse and add him to his collection as an elite undead puppet. He drops the bombshell that he was the mastermind who cursed Yuzuha. Our boy's blood boils instantly, realizing this guy pulled every string. Zero remorse on this villain's face, he casually mentions the girl wanted to be his disciple, and he actually had high hopes for her stats. But she became a pest and had the nerve to swipe those earrings. In his twisted logic, turning her into a zombie is exactly what she deserves. Hearing this trash talk, our boy clenches his fists and roars for the man to shut his trap. We have never seen the hero lose his cool like this before. Meanwhile, the rest of the squad is running on fumes, complaining that clearing the rubble has totally drained their stamina bars. Finally, they breach the blockage and the teams link up. Drago gives props to everyone for the heavy lifting and says the new objective is locating the exit. The red-haired girl admits she is clueless about their coordinates, but points out the quake stopped and the ominous red glow is fading. Reading the room, he guesses the hero already cleared the dungeon boss. Simultaneously, the senior notices his bracelet is picking up a signal again. Layla catches it too and suggests heading up to find a teleport zone. The tank of the group asks her to lead the team out, insisting he needs to double back and check on their MVP. He nods, promising they will hold the position outside. Back in the depths, our boy is burning with pure hatred for Giovanni and vows to wreck him. The instructor sneers, taunting that talking is cheap. Blinded by rage, the hero throws a haymaker, but the villain uses Frost Phantom to swap with an ice clone. Before our boy can process the bait and switch, an ice spike impales him from below. Zoning him out from a distance, the instructor mocks him again, calling melee magic a crude tool for cavemen, only viable if you can actually close the gap. The hero realizes Giovanni is a classic kiting type deceive-evade, and strike when the target is exposed. He also knows his mana reserves are critically low from the Hydra raid, meaning he needs to speedrun this boss fight before he blacks out. He rushes in, analyzing that the instructor's teleportation works just like the formation magic the blonde guy used. There is a mechanism to the madness. As our boy winds up for another strike, an ice wall manifests to block his path. He whips around and spots a glowing glyph right where the man warped. Another frost blast hits, and the hero feels his movements lagging heavily thanks to the lingering poison debuff. After landing the hit, the instructor gloats and tells him to just forfeit. The hero screams at him to shut up, swearing he will never forgive this betrayal. He declares he is going to shatter the curse placed on Yuzuha. Giovanni counters, remarking that the hero already holds the key to breaking it. He can't wrap his head around why the hero is simping for a girl who is literally the reason he is stuck in this mess. But if he is that desperate to save her, the villain has an idea. With that, he yanks the hero up by his hair. The creep demands total submission, telling our boy to bend the knee. But the hero isn't having it. He snaps back with a refusal and launches a counteroffensive, forcing the villain to blink out of existence again. But this time, our boy has the download. He spots the mana circle manifesting on the floor and surges forward before the guy even materializes. Ambush executed perfectly. The instructor actually looks rattled. He realizes the kid just cracked his teleportation code. Giovanni's arms go flying, detached clean from his body. But the dude doesn't even flinch, just smirks like quick study, aren't you? Limbs sprout back instantly. He decides right then that our hero needs to join his undead collection, claiming class is still in session. That's when it clicks for Setsuna. This instructor isn't just using necromancy, he is the undead. And Giovanni confirms the suspicion. He drops the lore he was knocking on death's door until the death god showed up and gifted him eternal life, reborn as Vidrak's magnum opus. To him, humans are just fragile ticking time bombs waiting to rot. It's pathetic in his eyes. He thinks he's the savior handing out true happiness by turning worthy people into immortal corpses. Our MC just stands there, vision swimming, forced to endure this villain monologue because his body is shutting down. Then a pulse of familiar mana hits his radar. A smirk plays on his lips. Giovanni thinks he's secured the W, totally clueless. The hero's silence feels like surrender. But right as Giovanni starts chanting the ritual, Drago materializes from the shadows. He hurls a stone with sniper precision. It punches straight through the back of Giovanni's skull and exits his forehead. Brutal. Sinking perfectly, our boy scrambles up and decks him right in the face. Even with a hole in his head, the instructor manages to warp away. The tank rushes over, checking the damage. Our MC is looking rough, and Drago's clearly worried about the blood loss. But the hero waves it off. He's got gas in the tank. He asks about the squad, and Drago confirms everyone is pushing for the surface. They're evacuating the dungeon. Layla and the other teams have already linked up on the higher floors. Knowing Layla is with the pack is a huge weight off his shoulders. Now he can focus on the fight. Across the room, Giovanni rises his face, knitting itself back together. He admits he didn't calculate the big guy crashing the party. Drago is still reeling, trying to process the betrayal their own teacher orchestrated this nightmare. Doesn't matter now, he has to go down. Our boy breaks down. The boss mechanics: dodge fast or die. The weakness, the teleport cooldown. You gotta hit him the second he rematerializes. Drago takes point, while the hero preps the finisher. Setsuna notices the guy's healing factor is lagging. He's running out of juice. One critical hit should end this. Giovanni, realizing he's cornered, starts cursing them out for ruining his masterpiece. He screams, "Annoying fools," just as Drago smashes through the ice magic. The instructor flickers to his teleport spot. "Don't underestimate me," he roars, charging up a frostbite spell. But that split second, that's the opening. Our boy unleashes a savage barrage of fists. The instructor goes airborne, slams into the wall, and crumbles in a heap. Running on fumes, the hero hits the floor, blacking out. But the instructor, he's twitching. He starts muttering. He never wanted to use his trump card here. He digs into his own flesh, pulls out the Death God's artifact, and crushes it. He's fusing with the Hydra. Our boy snaps awake just enough to warn Drago. It's not over yet. Drago watches in horror as the man morphs into a monstrosity. The creature screeches, blaming their arrogance for this transformation. "You forced my hand," he bellows, promising absolute regret. Our hero's consciousness starts fading to black again. He knows if they don't drop this kaiju fast, they're toast. Everything is going dark. Suddenly, a flare. A spark. It triggers a memory of the headmaster's lecture. You can't merge with elemental spirits just by asking. You need to hit a deep trance-like state. This is that feeling. It clicks. Suddenly, the fire spirit is right there in his face. He begs for power to save his crew. Next thing he knows, he's in another dimension, and the spirit is telling him to shut his mouth. He's in the fire realm. The heat at his back is blistering. He turns around, trembling, and sees the true form. This thing isn't just big, it's titanic. It could swallow him like a snack. The monopressure is crushing, violent, and heavy. But our boy stands his ground, staring down a god. He asks for a hearing. He lays it out. The Death God and his goons are wrecking the mortal plane. Innocent people are dying. His friends are doomed. But the spirit just looks annoyed by his rushing. The floor starts disintegrating under his feet. The spirit's flames roar higher, brighter. Even from here, his skin feels like it's melting. The spirit scoffs. "I gave you a chance to speak and you're just yapping nonsense. Why is that my problem?" Before he can clap back, 4 mysterious stones levitate and circle him. Fighting through the agony, our boy screams out, demanding to know why the spirit won't lend a hand. The spirit hits him with the cold, hard truth. It doesn't care about his tearjerker backstory. Suddenly, the flames roar to life around the stones, locking our hero in a blazing cage. Watching him squirm, the spirit starts roasting him literally and figuratively. It talks about how chill this place used to be. But now, it's becoming a scorching hellscape destined to turn him into nothing but dust. Setsuna's body is screaming, but his mind is laser-focused. Quitting equals death. He has to break through to this entity right now. The spirit actually pauses. Any regular human would have been extra crispy by now. Then it senses something familiar, the spirit of time, lurking right inside our hero. It demands answers. Desperate, Setsuna yells back, pleading for just 1 second of its attention. Seeing the kid still fighting back, the spirit brings up the Death God, mentioning how annoying he and his little minions used to be. That clicks. Setsuna realizes it's talking about Vedrak. He makes a bold promise: "Give me your power and I'll wipe him off the face of the earth." The flames surge, blindingly bright. The spirit shuts him down, telling him that kind of battle is way out of his league. It doesn't matter how hard he fights. He's stuck in an infinite loop, destined to burn in this fire forever. But our main character energy kicks in. He fires back, shouting that he doesn't give a damn. He is not backing down. That earns a smirk from the spirit. It decides to test that resolve and unleashes absolute hell to see if the kid can walk the talk. The agony goes off the charts. It feels like magma flowing through his veins. His lungs seize up, and he starts going numb. But Setsuna refuses to black out. Even while cooking alive, his mind drifts to his friend, worrying about the battle back in the dungeon. He focuses his rage on the Death God, screaming internally that checking out now isn't an option until Vedrak is dead. Scraping the bottom of the barrel for strength, Setsuna begs for power one last time, desperate to save his crew. The spirit is actually shook. It can't believe a mere mortal is tanking these flames and still burning. With a fiercer desire to protect his friends, even as his vision fades to black, the kid stays on his feet. The entity finds this whole display entertaining. It finally caves, telling him to go teach those villains a lesson they won't forget. Cut back to the dungeon, Drago is barely hanging on. His mana shield is cracking under the monster's relentless ice attacks. The instructor scoffs, impressed that a human has lasted this long. He figures it's that stubborn melee mage pride, keeping him upright. With a twisted smirk, he grabs the big guy by the collar, winding up to end him and his buddy right there. He slams Drago into the concrete. The tank realizes his mana guard is shattered. He's got zero defense left. Memories of his parents flood in, specifically his dad, telling him to use that tank-like build to shield his friends. A wave of regret hits him, because he failed to be that protector. Just as the instructor launches the kill shot, the villain freezes, realizing he just took a massive hit. As the dust settles, the targets are gone. The instructor spins around, confused only to see our hero standing tall, looking different. Before the villain can process the new look, Setsuna vanishes into thin air again. The instructor whips around, but Setsuna is already in his face, delivering a haymaker that sends him flying into the wall. Giovanni is floored. How is a punch wizard slinging high-tier elemental magic? The flames are even stopping his regeneration. Scrambling to recover, he spots a second crest glowing on Setsuna's arm. He freezes, because dual specialize in magic branches is supposed to be impossible. For the first time ever, Giovanni feels a chill. Is that fear? He screams in denial, launching a counterattack and shouting that he is immortal. He unleashes a massive poison vortex, convinced it's a guaranteed kill. But our boy weaves through it like it's nothing, blowing the toxic gas away with a raw mana burst. The villain is absolutely dumbfounded that his ultimate move got cancelled by basic mana. As Setsuna closes the distance, Giovanni panics, wondering where this power came from. But instead of connecting, our boy whiffs and smashes the wall behind him, screaming in agony. The instructor is baffled, guessing the kid can't handle his own juice yet. Seeing an opening, he lunges for the kill. But Setsuna lunges. Even though he's basically unconscious, his body is fighting on pure instinct. To stop the madness, the monster shatters the ground, impaling Setsuna with jagged ice shards. With the hero pinned down, he cackles, declaring victory. He admits the kid has power, but at the end of the day, he's just a human, playing in a dragon's world. Giovanni swears to take his head, ranting about how the undead are the superior species. But Layla crashes the party just in time to block him. She hits him with a casual, "Sorry I'm late." She plants her feet, making it crystal clear nobody touches her friend while she's breathing. The beast curses under its breath, finally locking eyes with her, and decides to punch her ticket too. Meanwhile, the redhead glances over her shoulder, trying to read the battlefield. She's wondering what happened to our hero, but it doesn't matter right now. She's ready to stand guard until he wakes up. Setsuna gets yanked back to square one, that same shadowy void, where he first met the entity. The spirit immediately starts trash-talking, calling him pathetic, mocking him for choking on the tiny scrap of power it loaned him. The hero is totally lost, demanding answers. He figures the fusion with the fire spirit should be done by now. Suddenly he spots a vision of Layla flickering in the void, but the spirit scoffs, telling him to forget her. Her fate isn't his problem. But Setsuna isn't about to abandon his squad. He begs the entity to show him the ropes, pleading for control over this magic. The spirit just waves him off, cold as ice. It says this is the first time a human has ever wielded its power, so he's gonna have to figure this out solo. Back in the dungeon, Layla tries to mount an offense, but the instructor is too fast to slash tears across her face. The power gap is just massive. Even so, she refuses to move, acting as a human shield between the hero and the monster trying to kill him. Giovanni lands a heavy hit, sending her flying back into the jagged ice shards. But as she hits the ground, she clings to Setsuna's words from before, that strength is something you build, not something you're born with, as long as you stay focused on the goal. Our boy is having a breakthrough too, remembering a woman's gentle hand and her advice to stay patient, reminding him that real power comes from unwavering resolve. While the girl fights for her life against Giovanni's onslaught, the spirit watches with twisted amusement, wondering if the hero will finally entertain it or just die alongside his friend. That mockery just fuels the hero's drive, his internal flames roaring to life. The spirit actually looks impressed for once, and decides to test him personally, blasting him with a wave of hellfire. Back in reality, the redhead is barely holding on, still blocking the monster's path. Suddenly, our boy snaps to his feet, and before the instructor can even process the movement, Setsuna slams him into the dirt, roasting him alive with a point-blank inferno blaze. The hero drops some truth, saying Giovanni called immortality a gift, but humans have an expiration date. And that ticking clock, it leaves them no choice but to grind harder and keep evolving. It was staring death in the face that finally let him unlock the fire spirit's potential. Even witnessing this god-tier power, the apostle is in total denial until our boy sends him straight back to the underworld. As Setsuna stands over the ashes, he hears the redhead calling out to him. She's staring at him, terrified, asking if the person standing there is really still Setsuna. hearing that he cracks a genuine smile, assuring her he's still the same friend she knows. Then, he thanks her for the assist and checks if she's hurt, but she brushes it off, claiming she's solid. Drago lets out a massive breath. He honestly didn't think she'd dive back into hell to save them. She explains she had a bad gut feeling and just had to check. The rest of the crew already escaped with the teleport bracelet, but she made sure they alerted the staff first, so reinforcements should be inbound any second. Our boy turns to say something, but the adrenaline crashes and he collapses face first. Luckily, the instructors burst onto the scene just in time. One rushes to help him up, but Setsuna is only worried about his team. Before he blacks out completely, he scans the room, confirming both his friends are breathing. That finally puts his mind at ease, and he fades away. Later, he blinks awake, realizing he's staring at an infirmary ceiling. Sitting up, he feels normal again, though the heat of the battle is still simmering in his veins. Instructor Lionel walks in and sees the kid is finally conscious. He pulls up a chair, and the first thing Setsuna does is ask about the squad. The instructor chuckles, noting that, even after a 3-day coma, his first thought is still about his friends. He reassures him that Layla, Drago, and the upperclassmen from the formation department are all safe and sound. Actually, Setsuna is the last one to wake up. The teacher brings up the fight with the apostle, but whispers that it's strictly classified information, per the headmaster's direct orders. Setsuna figures that's smart considering they still have zero clues about the bigger picture. Lionel then apologizes for the whole Leo disaster the principal briefed him on. He admits there could be other sleeper agents hiding in the school, and an internal investigation is already in motion. But because of all the recent chaos, they were too slow on the uptake and missed Giovanni's scheme completely. The instructor looks genuinely gutted. He hates that his students were endangered twice on his watch and vows to never let that slide again. As he bows his head in shame, the hero tells him to chill, it wasn't his fault. But just as Setsuna starts to speak, a sharp agony shoots through his frame. The man catches him, explaining it's just the backlash from burning that much mana. He pushed way past his red line. The physical wounds are healed, so he just needs to ride out the fatigue. He's only breathing right now because some mystery savior blitzed the dungeon to save his skin. But who was it? Suddenly, a sharp knock echoes. Lionel grins. He's here. The door swings open, revealing the bald brawler Zachary, awkwardly clutching a basket of apples. The instructor slaps him on the back, giving him that "aren't you forgetting something" look. Zachary drops the tough guy act. He's here to own up for being a total nightmare during the orientation test. He keeps it real. He always thought the melee magic department was trash tier, and honestly, seeing our MC there triggered him. Turns out Zachary used to be an academic weapon, a top honor student, until he awakened close combat magic. His family disowned him instantly, and his so-called friends ghosted him. So, watching our hero, someone who could have been anything, willingly choose the loser class, it made him furious. He just couldn't wrap his head around it. But then the plot twisted. Zachary admits he was wrong. He saw the battle logs. Our boys' team didn't just pass, they achieved the highest score. In the joint training. Yeah, the chaos got the Royal Mage Army event cancelled. But Zachary is just hyped to see the melee department finally get some respect. He reaches out to shake the hand of the guy who proved them all wrong. Real recognizes real. Our boy is shook. The toxic bully vibe is completely gone. This feels like a totally different person. He shakes back, apologizing for the beef, and thanking Zachary for the clutch protection earlier. The big guy nods, says see you in class and dips. With the room clear, Lionel pulls out a special item, a glove. Direct orders from the principal. Lionel points out that walking around with mummy bandages is suspicious as hell. This gear is enchanted to mask those spirit magic crests perfectly. Our MC freezes. Does the instructor know his secret? Lionel doesn't even blink. He knows exactly what spirit magic is. It's ancient magic, the same volatile power that triggered the Great Magic War 100 years ago. Since then, it's been banned worldwide. He warns our boy, keep it on the low. If the Zenon Church finds out, it's basically a death sentence. Shironi already suspected the danger, but hearing it confirmed hits different. Forbidden arts popping up during the Great Magic War? Expected. But spirit magic? That's a total curveball. He needs answers, specifically how his instructor figured this out. Lionel doesn't beat around the bush, the headmaster spilled the tea. The big boss knows the whole 9 yards, the death god, the apostles, spirit magic. Even the fact that our boy regressed from the future. It's a tight circle of trust, only he and the principal are in on the secret. Our hero finally exhales, relieved. Lionel isn't freaking out. Still, doubts are creeping in. Is keeping this quiet the right play? The instructor shuts that spiraling down immediately. He makes it crystal clear the past life is history. What matters right now is that he's a student of the close combat department. Period. Grateful for the reality check, the hero asks where the headmaster is hiding. Turns out the boss caught a major lead on the apostles and dipped out to investigate personally. This hits our boy like a truck. He's shook. He practically shouts, demanding to know the details. The instructor tells him to cool his jets. He promises to drop the intel later, Priority number 1, rest up. Lionel has more news to share, but it waits until the kid is back in fighting form. Left alone, our boy stares at his hand, replaying the battle. Real talk, without that spirit magic, he would have been toast. Layla was the anchor keeping him sane, but trying that solo again, no way. He doesn't trust his own grip on that power. While he's sweating over this terrifying strength, a voice rings inside his skull. He jolts up, scanning the room, but it's empty. Suddenly, poof, a creature lands on his head, hyping up its own grand entrance. Is this the terrifying spirit? Yep. The being confirms it, introducing himself as the one and only Blazer. Our hero is having a hard time processing this. How does this adorable little fluffball match the nightmare fuel he saw in the other dimension? Blazer hops onto the windowsill, absolutely losing his mind over the modern world. Everything is huge. Our boy rolls his eyes. Yeah, buddy, everything looks massive when you're the size of a hamster. Is it really that deep? Blazer claps back. It's not that humans are special, but the perspective fresh. He's never rocked a form this tiny before. Confused Setsuna asks the million-dollar question, why the mascot look? Blazer gets sassy. He doesn't owe explanations, but decides to throw the kid a bone, just this once. It's all about the crest connection. Maintaining a physical form burns mana like crazy. If he stayed in his original beast mode, he'd drain the hero dry in seconds. Small body equals better mileage. Seeing an opening, our boy digs for intel. Was Blazer in the Great Magic War a century ago? How did that end? The vibe shifts instantly. Blazer's face drops and he waves the question off with zero hesitation. He claims his memory is fuzzy. He ran around the battlefield, sure, but he's not about living in the past. And just like that, the conversation is over. The spirit bolts out of the room. Panic mode engaged, our hero scrambles to catch him. This is bad. If the Holy Church catches wind of a spirit, they're both getting a one-way ticket to the Inquisition. For heresy. He has to bag this spirit now. Meanwhile, Blazer is already outside, acting like a tourist. Naturally, he's drawing a crowd. Students are confused, is that a dog? The girls don't care. They're already obsessed with the cuteness factor. Our boy comes stumbling out, screaming for him to freeze. Blazer looks back and actually laughs at him. Catch me if you can slowpoke. The hero curses his injured body. He's got zero speed right now. The chase continues, but he slams right into Noelle. The nerd starts yapping about the intramural contest, claiming our boy only won by sheer luck. Our hero doesn't even break stride, total ghosting. Next obstacle, Carl from the Noble Club. He starts some pompous speech about forgiveness and asks about the redhead girl. The hero breezes past him too. Carl is left fuming at the disrespect. The audacity of this kid, Carl grumbles. Our boy drifts around a corner, totally missing the eyes watching him. The head instructor of ranged magic is there, silently clocking his every move. By evening, Setsuna is gassed. He collapses in the hall, finally admitting defeat. The senior from earlier spots him, looking like a wreck. Nearby, the gossip mill is churning. Two girls are whispering. Is that the melee mage? The one who trained with Mifune 1 sneers, confirming it. He only hit the top ranks because the senior carried him. Suddenly, the blonde guy steps in, shutting them down. Watch your mouth. That's my friend. Once the haters scatter, he apologizes to the hero. Turns out our boy has had a target on his back ever since he crushed that high score in joint training. Even without the full context, our boy admits he didn't expect the backup. The guy just smirks. It's not sentimental to him. Anyone useful gets the friend label. He circles back to the joint training nightmare, bringing up Yusha, the poor girl who got snagged in the chaos. She's physically okay, but the trauma lingers. Word is the professors have her detained, sweating it out in a heavy interrogation session. But our main man isn't worried. He knows she's a dead end. They won't get a single drop of dirt from her because Giovanni was the puppet master behind it all. Shifting gears, he asks the senior if he's seen a crimson furball running loose. The blonde guy points toward the courtyard, signaling it went that way. One glance out the window confirms it. The spirit is hopping around like a bunny on a sugar rush. Our boy bolts downstairs immediately. While the spirit frolics in the flowers, a crowd forms, totally mesmerized by this never-before-seen critter. Everyone is whispering, trying to guess its species. But then the vibe shifts. That psycho from the ranged magic department is lurking nearby, eyeing the little guy like a lab experiment. Suddenly, our hero shouts from the ground floor to get the spirit's attention. Just seeing our boy breathe makes Oktar's blood boil after his humiliation in the contest. A wicked grin spreads across his face as he spots the creature. He barks that pets are banned on campus, using safety concerns as a cheap excuse. Convinced the school has his back, he launches a surprise attack on Blazer. Big mistake. The spirit snaps into defense mode, unleashing a torrent of hellfire that blasts the bully backward. Oktar stands zero chance, and his clothes get incinerated instantly, leaving him exposed. Stripped of his dignity and his outfit, the guy scampers off sobbing like a toddler. Our boy exhales, relieved the little guy is unscathed. But the reality sinks in. Blazer is a powerhouse, tiny or not. The students witness that raw firepower and start inching backward in terror. The atmosphere gets tense. Just then, Layla drifts onto the scene, confused by the sudden commotion. Our hero spots her, but is too battered to sprint. She walks right up to the volatile spirit, staring it down. She's trying to analyze it, but Blazer misreads her curiosity as aggression and charges up another blast. Panic spikes, our boy screams out to her, terrified she's about to get torched by the unpredictable beast. She holds her ground, sensing a familiar energy. The spirit growls a final warning, but instead of fleeing, she drops to her knees. She bows her head, genuinely, thanking the entity for saving her friend back in the dungeon. Blazer pauses. He digs the respect, noting she should feel honored he lent his cosmic power to a mere mortal. Our hero's jaw drops no fireball. Layla reaches into her basket and pulls out some fruit she planned to give Setsuna. She offers the fresh produce to Blazer. It's a peace offering, and the spirit is intrigued. He snatches the fruit and takes a bite. That's all it takes. He's instantly addicted to the taste of those apples. Our boy can't believe his eyes. The deadly spirit is suddenly acting like a pampered house pet. He finally limps over to join the squad. While the spirit cuddles up to Layla, Drago marvels at the little guy's bottomless appetite and asks, "What is that thing seriously?" Our boy sweats, quickly lying that it's just a rare magical beast. If the church found out he's bonding with a high-level spirit, he'd be painting a target on his back. That's a level of drama he doesn't need. The creature seems chill for now, but our hero knows Blazer is a ticking time bomb. He thanks the redhead for defusing the situation. She figures the swarm of students probably just triggered the little guy's defense mechanisms. As they snack, passers-by whisper about the weirdo and his strange pet. Blazer twitches with annoyance but decides to let them live this time. Our boy shrugs it off, actually relieved that everyone just sees a weird animal instead of a cosmic threat. Turning to the girl, the spirit arrogantly offers to make her his personal servant if she keeps the snacks coming. Our hero suppresses a laugh, grateful he's the only one who speaks spirit. He shifts focus to his team, thanking them for having his back, but they brush it off like true homies. Drago then fishes a letter from his pocket. It's from his folks congratulating him on crushing the high score during joint training. Our boy grins, but the mood dips when he notices the girl's worried expression. She's still haunted by that mystery instructor and dying to know who he was. Our hero's fist tightens. We'll get answers, he promises, once we squeeze the truth out of that senior girl. He initially pegged the guy as an apostle, but that theory doesn't fit anymore. He watched that freak fuse with a hydra and mutate into an alien nightmare. That's not normal magic. His friend Drago breaks the silence, asking about the insane power burst in the dungeon. That wasn't melee magic, dude. Before our hero can spin a lie, the girl points at the snacking furball. It was him. That creature gave him the power. The spirit cackles proudly, taking credit for the win, as our boy starts to explain the chaos. The head of the range department storms over to their table, screaming our MC's name like he's trying to wake the dead. The vibe in the room instantly shifts. Nobody likes this guy. He silences the class with a death glare before locking eyes with the spirit. He demands answers, shouting at the hero, throwing a massive fit because the pet isn't registered with the academy. He is being a total buzzkill about the rules. Meanwhile, Blazer is seconds away from going berserk. He absolutely hates being called a pet. Just as things are about to get ugly, the bald instructor comes in clutch with the save of the century. He claims it's his bad for forgetting to file the registration paperwork with the admin office. He actually bows and apologizes, which sends Silas into a laughing fit. He starts roasting the guy immediately, saying the MC has turned him into a pathetic pushover, who would actually bow to his own students. While Zachary laughs it off nervously, Drago slams the table and rushes over to back him up. He loudly announces that they only crushed the joint training and got the highest score because of the bald instructor's top-tier guidance. The hero and the girl exchange nods and stand up to pay their respects too. Silas watches this unfold, looking absolutely livid. But before he can explode, he overhears other students whispering about how salty and jealous he is of the melee department. Humiliated, he storms out of the cafeteria, barking one last order: get that registration form to him by tomorrow morning. With the toxic instructor gone, our boy exhales a massive sigh of relief and thanks Baldy for the cover-up. Zachary admits he trusted the kid, had a solid reason for keeping that creature a secret. But honestly, the spirit isn't vibing with this peaceful resolution at all, because he was itching for a fight. As the hero heads back to his dorm, a familiar drops off a mysterious letter. It's from the headmaster, who is hyped that the MC managed to unlock elemental magic. But he knows the kid has zero control over it. So since he can't teach him personally right now, he refers him to a specific woman who can. The hero gazes up at the sky, silently thanking the headmaster for the assist. Cut to an old woman receiving the same intel. And let me tell you, she is not happy to learn that the headmaster basically doxed her location to some random kid. Gritting her teeth in fury, she makes a dark vow. If this kid isn't worthy of spirit magic, she's going to make sure he doesn't leave her house alive. Talk about high stakes. The scene shifts to an emergency meeting of the majors, where Principal Silverlock lays out his disturbing findings. The room is full of skeptics who don't take him seriously. They demand receipts for his wild claims about the return of the death god and his apostles. The principal argues that the enemy left no trace, which is exactly why he needs their help. But instead of grasping the danger, they just dismiss him as a senile old man. After the meeting flops, the principal steps outside to meet Lionel, commenting on the absolute train wreck that just happened. The instructor isn't surprised. Silverlock admits it makes sense. Trust is hard to come by these days, especially when the topic is forbidden spirit magic. It's a tough pill to swallow, but he insists they can't ignore the red flags. If the apostles make a move, his proposal will be the only thing standing in their way. Shifting gears, the principal asks about Setsuna. Lionel reports that he's healing up, but the kid is still grinding too hard. He needs time. The principal is actually worried about the hero because his next mentor is brutal, and he hopes the boy is ready for the hell awaiting him. Meanwhile, our MC wakes up to find the pink-haired girl staring right at his soul. He jumps out of his skin, asking why she's creeping in his room. She explains she's just the delivery service for some recovery food, since he's still banged up. Our boy is super grateful, especially for how she looked out for Blazer yesterday. Carol brushes it off like it was nothing, mentioning she took a stroll through the village with Layla. They brought fruits for the spirit, who apparently made some adorable noises. Hearing this, the hero realizes something funny. They have no clue what Blazer is actually saying back to them. She adds that Layla managed to bond with the spirit, using her mana, proving she harbors zero bad vibes toward him. As they chat, our boy thinks to himself that he needs to pull his weight. He's been on the sidelines for too long. He plans to master spirit magic as soon as possible. The girl heads to class, leaving Setsuna some solo time to deep dive into spirit magic lore. According to the archives, the Great Mage War popped off about 200 years ago, started by ancient magic users who wanted to dominate the common mages. But because they were outnumbered, they got wiped out and peace returned. The aftermath: any mage caught using ancient magic gets arrested and interrogated. Our boy knows he has to keep his fire spirit on the down low. He didn't even know this magic existed before he time traveled. But if he can figure out how to control this power-up is absolutely crucial for his future clash with the Reaper. But let's be real, he knows this won't be a walk in the park, because the anomalies have already started ramping up. Cut to a few days later, the whole squad is assembled as the hero drops the bomb that he's leaving for a training arc. Since school is out for break, he plans to spend every single second grinding before he has to head out. He gives major props to the crew for holding him down over the past few weeks. Goodbyes are exchanged, and just like that, our boy hits the road, alongside his mentor. But beneath the hype, he's low-key stressing about the spirit living rent-free in his head, fearing he might not be able to keep a leash on it alone. Lionel leads him to a beast pen and drops the info that they're mounting up on giant transport lizards to reach their destination. Warning, these reptiles are a little spicy, but for long-haul travel, they're the top-tier option. The stable master tries to flex on our MC, asking if he's ever taken a lizard kick to the gut. Setsuna ain't sweating it, though he knows the cheat code to tame these beasts, so he tells the guy to chill. He hops onto the saddle smoothly, leaving the owner completely shook. The guy thinks he's looking at a total prodigy. Next thing you know, they're blasting off. Blazer is absolutely loving the chaos, but the instructor, he is fighting for his life against the turbulence. As they push deeper into the woods, they spot a group of girls blocking the path. They don't give off bandit vibes, so the duo figures the old witch must have sent a welcome party. Bingo! These are Morgana's personal maids. The instructor steps up, announcing they are here for the boss lady and asking for an escort. He gets hit with dead silence. Then one girl opens her mouth, but an old hag's voice comes out, declaring she has zero interest in meeting a male mage. Lionel clicks. The witch is remote piloting them. These aren't humans, they're alchemy dolls. She tells the kid he needs to earn his spot as a disciple, then immediately launches a massive magical strike. Our MC parries with his mana blade, while the instructor just backhands it, cold. But still, they can feel the weight behind those hits. The witch starts trash-talking their defense, and Lionel is getting a little ticked off. Time to lock in. He conjures a massive mana sword to show her who is boss. The duo knows the assignment: scrap these dolls, to get Morgana's approval. On the same wavelength, they rush in simultaneously. The dolls sync up for a combo blast. Lionel doesn't flinch, he signals the MC to keep pressing forward, instead of backing down. As our boy slices through the magic, he realizes this blade is straight up overpowered. Even the dolls have to give props, admitting their fundamentals are solid. Both sides charge again for a head-on collision. That is when the hero spots a doll, wielding a lightning-infused weapon. He barely sidesteps the strike, but the other dolls follow up, unleashing high-voltage magic. Lionel knows one hit will toast them, so he screams for the kid to move. Reflexes on point, our boy reacts, and they both dodge the zap. Once they make some space, the witch doubles down. Their old-school magic can't hang with modern elemental attacks. Setsuna knows she has a point. Melee magic requires getting up close and personal, which is a suicide mission against living tasers. As the dolls rush in again, the witch claims melee builds are trash tier compared to magic. Setsuna agrees as he weaves through an attack, but notes that he hasn't even hit the level cap yet. In a blur, he clocks a doll right in the face. Simultaneously, the instructor rushes another one and yeets her away. The tag team capitalizes on the momentum, aiming for the last doll standing. But one recovers instantly, forcing our hero onto the back foot. He starts brainstorming the perfect counter for this matchup. Even in the heat of combat, he uses his mana blade to grapple a tree swinging around to blindside the doll with a kick. The witch has to admit that was a high IQ play, to use the environment like that. He knocks the doll straight toward Lionel, who is busy throwing hands with another clone. Our boy yells a warning, but the lag is real. A massive explosion rips through the air right in front of the sensei, triggered by the doll's attack. Miraculously, the instructor dives clear just in time. The three dolls regroup and link hands, turtling up inside a swirling water barrier. Setsuna runs the numbers. Realizing charged bullet is useless here, the water shield will just nullify the damage. While he is plotting, Blazer strolls up with a wicked grin, offering to just incinerate the whole forest, dolls included. Before the hero can even think about greenlighting that, the seal on his arm goes haywire. The spirit starts draining his mana like crazy. Fighting through the agony, he commands the spirit to chill. Blazer pauses, looking genuinely confused, asking why he won't just wipe them off the map. The hero clocks the setup immediately. Beating these dolls isn't just a brawl, it's an exam, so using his elemental nukes would be an instant fail. If he wants to clear this stage, he needs to rely on raw stats and physical combat. Just like that, the dolls drop the force field. The witch barks a command for them to drag the duo inside. The instructor is totally thrown off, asking what sparked the sudden 180. The dolls ghost his question, mumble a quick, "My bad," and escort the squad straight to the Grand Dame. One syllable is all it takes. Our boy recognizes Morgana instantly. She cuts to the chase. "Why didn't you blast us with spirit magic? Melee attacks were useless against that shield. You needed heavy artillery to break through." The hero stays cool, explaining he doesn't just casually flex ultimate moves in front of an opponent he literally just met. Besides popping his flame powers to crack that barrier, that would have turned the entire forest into a barbecue. Total overkill for a simple entry test. Hearing his logic, the witch lets out a heavy sigh. She calls him soft-hearted. But here's the kicker. If he had gone nuclear earlier, she would have kicked him out immediately. That's self-control. That's his golden ticket to her mentorship. The hero hits her with a respectful nod. But Blazer is salty. He starts pressing the old lady, but she dismisses him like he's just a yapping chihuahua. That insult triggers him hard. Blazer starts flaring up to show off his heat, while Setsuna scrambles to de-escalate the situation. But the spirit's rage is off the charts. Watching the temper tantrum, the old lady steps up with zero fear. She's not letting her property burn today. In a blink, she summons her own avatar. It is time for Elemental Control 101. Blazer launches a fireball straight at her, but she pulls a liquid body morph, turning into water and regenerating like it's nothing. "Class dismissed," she declares, summoning a massive tsunami from the lake. Lionel's jaw hits the floor. The tidal wave crashes down, snuffing out Blazer's flames instantly. The witch drops some truth. The hero's bond with his spirit is weak sauce. That's why his output is trash. Right now, that spirit is just a wild animal on a leash. She adds that once he locks in a genuine connection, he'll be able to command that power at will. Post-battle, she breaks down the curriculum. Mastering spirit magic has 3 levels. Level 1, becoming one with nature. Level 2 involves projecting consciousness into the spirit world to earn respect. She exposes Setsuna for forcing a contract before he was ready. He skipped the tutorial and went straight to the boss fight, leaving his magic glitchy. Frustrated, she starts roasting the headmaster. She blames him for the sloppy education. Our boy is shook seeing someone trash-talk the headmaster so casually. The old lady points out that this forest is a hotspot for spirits, the perfect server for grinding XP and reaching a trance state. Boot camp starts at dawn. She challenges him to show her exactly why that spirit picked him in the first place. Next morning, he's glued to the forest floor, meditating like a statue. But he's not just sitting there. He's scrubbing floors, doing chores, and keeping the place spotless. Serious Karate Kid vibes as the days blur together. It's a relentless cycle of training with the squad. Then one night, down by the lake, he spots glowing orbs dancing in the air. It hits him. He's finally tuned into the frequency of nature. He glares up at the cliffside house and whispers a promise. He's ready to run it back with Blazer. At the next meeting, Morgana notices the shift. The kid unlocked spiritual sensing in just 2 weeks. That's a speedrun record. But now comes the hard part, diving into the spirit world to forge the bond. In that realm, mana is useless. It's all about mental fortitude. Even with his new senses, taking on the fire spirit solo is a suicide mission. Grandma decides to tag along, which makes Blazer burst out laughing. He asks if she seriously thinks she can scrap with him on his home turf, then pivots to roast the hero for disobeying orders. Our boy just hits him with a smirk. "I'm doing this to earn your respect, tough guy." Morgana turns to Lionel with the safety brief. While they're mental traveling, their physical bodies are sitting ducks. Sure, the base is hidden and the battle maids are on patrol, but Lionel is the last line of defense. He flashes a thumbs up and she settles into her chair. She guides the hero into a deep trance. The mental floodgates open and Setsuna dives straight into the spirit world. He spawns in right in front of Blazer and the old lady. Seeing the spirit's true form, she admits his ego was actually justified. Now that Setsuna has spirit vision, he realizes Blazer is an absolute unit. To keep the kid's mind from shattering, Morgana wraps him in a protective bubble. Blazer scoffs, telling her to stay in her lane. "You think that flimsy shield can hold back my heat," he taunts. Our boy doesn't flinch. He looks the beast dead in the eye. He takes a slow, deliberate step forward, locking into a trance state where doubt doesn't exist. Nothing's stopping him now. To earn Blazer's respect, he knows talk is cheap. He has to prove it. The spirit grins, welcoming the audacity, but drops a heavy warning. Don't let this crushing burden be the thing you regret. Meanwhile, outside the barrier, the instructor and the maid keep a nervous vigil. Lionel's betting everything that the kid can pull this off. But then the air turns ice cold. Dark magic. A malicious presence is closing in on their hideout and the timing couldn't be worse. He grits his teeth. No way is he letting anyone crash the party, while the hero faces the spirit. Draped in a suffocating dark aura, Leo strolls in like he owns the place. He politely excuses himself, asking if anybody's home while locking eyes with the instructor. He tilts his head, sizing Lionel up. Close combat department. Right. Then his gaze shifts, and he spots the prize, his former best friend. A twisted excitement lights up his face. No need to hunt him down now. Lionel freezes instantly, recognizing the face on the wanted posters, the runaway student. Suddenly, the wall explodes. Another Apostle Zagan bursts into the room like a wrecking ball, obliterating the masonry and smashing a doll into scrap. He puffs his chest, announcing he's taking the old woman and Setsuna as souvenirs. But the blonde kid interrupts, claiming the hero used to be his pal, so that's his kill to make. Zagan can have the old hag and the puppet show. Lionel's blood runs cold. He realizes this second monster is a straight-up apostle. He grimaces. Worst timing ever. He mutters that if he wasn't on the payroll as a teacher, he'd be sprinting in the other direction. The blonde kid catches the remark and shrugs, telling him to beat it, since he's not the target. But Lionel stands his ground. He manifests a mana, sword eyes narrowing. Don't insult me, kid. At my academy, teachers don't bail on their students. With a roar, he launches himself into the fray. Back in the spirit realm, our boy steels his nerves. Fear is a luxury he can't afford. In this dimension, willpower is reality. Suddenly, the old lady flinches violently. "What was that?" he demands. She looks panicked. Something's gone sideways in the physical world. Her servants just got taken out. Our boy connects the dots instantly. The Death God's goons are here. He tells her to bail and go help. Morgana hesitates, warning that dropping the barrier now means the spirit's raw power could incinerate his soul, leaving him trapped in limbo forever. The hero waves it off, insisting this is his burden to carry solo. "Just go save my teacher and the dolls," he commands. Morgana sighs, knowing he's right. She fades out, shouting one last order. "Stay alive. Dying here after all. My training would be a total waste." The hero flashes a confident grin. "Count on it." With the barrier gone, Blazer looms over him. Why crave power that tears you apart? Our boy looks up, eyes haunted. "Before I turned back time, I lost it all." Blazer pauses the scenery, shifting as he peers directly into the hero's mental landscape. Setsuna reveals the nightmare. The apostles crushed the royal army. The world didn't just end, it shattered. Everyone he looked up to was slaughtered. That screaming regret is what triggered the time spirit to rewind the clock. He clenches his fists, swearing he'll never let anyone take a damn thing from him again. The spirit looks intrigued. Is this vengeance? Against the world breakers, or just a desperate rage against destiny? He finds it pathetic, yet wildly entertaining. Blazer nods. The kid is worthy of a shot. But since he's demanding absolute power, the kid gloves are coming off. No more waiting games. Blazer shrinks down, condensing his energy into a humanoid form, and declares this a personal beatdown. Our boy wonders if this is a battle of pure will, and charges in. Blazer matches his speed and they collide, trading catastrophic blows with their bare hands. As their souls clash in the spirit realm, the real world is a bloodbath. Lionel is locked in a desperate duel with the 10th Apostle. The instructor manages to slice a lock of the monster's hair, but it's like trying to stop a train with a toothpick. Zagan barely flinches and rushes him. Just before impact, a doll throws itself in the way, tanking the hit. The Apostle rages, realizing it's summoning magic, and cranks up the power. Even with the doll blocking, the shockwave blasts both of them right through the wall and out of the house. Lionel wheezes, stunned that this monster keeps hitting harder without breaking a sweat. Meanwhile, the Apostle barks an order at Leo. Handle the witch. Leo nods and winds up for the kill, but Morgana materializes at the last second, shielding herself with a barrier. Talk about rude guests, she spits, summoning her spirit avatar as she squares up against the blonde kid. The other apostle charges her blindside. Before he can connect, Lionel slides in like a pro, landing a solid punch that knocks the beast back. Simultaneously, Morgana blasts the blonde kid with spirit magic, but he casually uses disintegration to nullify the spell. Leo smirks, dusting off his shoulder. Spoiler alert, spirit magic doesn't work on me. Then everything goes dark. Zagan clocks the instructor right in front of him, and barely manages to dodge a haymaker. He yells at his partner, furious, that he couldn't handle one guy. This sends the apostle into a rage, and he connects with a brutal strike that launches Lionel straight through the wall and into the yard. Meanwhile, Morgana is analyzing Leo's footwork, wondering if his power just straight up deletes magic, letting him ghost through attacks. Is it a passive buff, or does it need specific triggers to activate? She decides to get up close and personal, betting that zero reaction time will bypass his defense. Flashbacks of her duel with the hero make her wonder if he went for a melee build specifically to hard counter this exact move. Outside, Zagan and the instructor are tearing up the courtyard. The apostle is dominating, landing combo after combo. Under heavy pressure, the instructor clocks the truth. His opponent is siphoning mana from the puppets. He just smashed to pieces. The apostle slow claps. Sharp guy, he sneers, admitting he drains the energy of anything he touches. Lionel keeps that cocky grin plastered on his face, but deep down he knows the odds are stacked against him. Simultaneously, Leo senses the witch targeting him from below. He doesn't even flinch, effortlessly shielding himself with his power. Seeing her ambush flop, the witch decides it's time to play her ace. In the hole, she rips a massive volume of water from the lake, aiming to drown them in a liquid prison. Reading the play, the blonde kid calls it overkill, but gives her props for the strategy. Then he smacks the water with a shockwave, vaporizing the attack, and triggering a sudden heavy downpour. The old lady is shook as he combining long-range magic with total disintegration. The kid grins, confirming her fears. Hope that's a good enough souvenir for the afterlife, he taunts. Claiming it's game over, he winds up for the finisher. But right before he can land the hit, Setsuna blitzes in out of nowhere and decks him. Morgana instantly realizes he beat the spirit. The instructor stares as Setsuna stands there, wreathed in intense flames, micromanaging the heat, so the forest doesn't burn down. Zagan locks eyes with him. This guy is nothing like Leo, he warns. Behind our boy, Blazer materializes, hyped to turn their enemies into ash. But the hero shuts him down. Don't get cocky. These guys are legit threats. The spirit scoffs, reminding him, you beat me, didn't you? Quit the humble act. Cut to a few minutes ago in the spirit realm, Blazer sends him flying with a haymaker. Both fighters are running on fumes, gasping for air. The spirit has to respect the grit. Even though the hero's body is shaking, that smile hasn't faded. Through the exhaustion, our boy stands tall, absolutely convinced of his win condition. As the fire spirit winds up, he mocks the hero's arrogance. Pretty bold for a weak human. Our boy just grins. It's not confidence, it's certainty. With that, they clash instantly, Blazer unleashing 100% of his power. Setsuna nods to the raw power. I see why you're undefeated, he says, but that winning streak is exactly why you'll lose. The spirit is confused. The hero clarifies, I've eaten dirt, tasted despair, and lost more times than I can count. I hit rock bottom and built a ladder. I know how to get back up when the world ends. He promises this will be Blazer's first L. The spirit stands up, roaring back that this will be the hero's final defeat. Full throttle, they collide. After a brutal exchange, Blazer is awestruck. The kid shattered every expectation. He finally admits defeat, wondering how a human got strong enough to guarantee a win like that. Our boy explains during the fight his willpower surged, feeding off Blazer's own intense resolve, igniting a roaring fire within his soul. Blazer realizes the truth and doesn't hesitate for a second. He accepts him as a worthy partner. Take my hand. They bump fists, and our boy thanks him for the trust. Back to reality, Lionel screams a warning about the 10th Apostle's claws. But our boy is 5 steps ahead. He knows those claws are mana vacuums. He remembers Zagan is the only apostle he faced in his past life. That apex predation skill steals mana from anyone he cuts. This monster single-handedly wiped the Northern Kingdom off the map, alchemy tech, and all, just by draining their magic dry. The apostle is spooked. How does this kid know his kit? But he shrugs it off. Knowledge won't save him. Nearby, Leo is groaning, fighting to get his bearings, realizing the hero's speed just leveled up. Setsuna is shocked. Leo is still vertical, he must have dampened the blow. Using magic disintegration, the other apostle steps up, declaring, I've got the hero. He orders the blonde kid to sit this one out. Leo agrees, retreating to analyze the fight. Our boy thinks back to before his regression. He took down the 10th apostle before by sniping with long-range magic, but this time, he is getting up close and personal with melee attacks. One mistake and it is game over, but our boy has leveled up too. He parries Zagan's strike and counters with a brutal side hook, sending the beast stumbling back. No mercy, Setsuna rushes in, unleashing a relentless combo. The apostle is shook, screaming that there is no way a human can move with this kind of velocity. But our MC has the formula figured out. Fusing Blazer's explosive power with body enhancement magic equals god-tier speed. The instructor watches in awe. Setsuna is hybridizing martial arts with spirit magic, drifting around the battlefield and landing hit after hit. Even Morgana is stunned by his surgical control over those fire blasts, mastered in record time. It is a prodigy-level feat. But back in the ring, the pressure mounts, and the apostle bellows a shockwave that rattles the air. He glares at Setsuna, mocking that cloak of flames as nothing but a free snack. He claims he is surging with infinite energy because he is the ultimate apex predator. Setsuna just smirks, basically saying, bet. Zagan lunges, but our hero deflects the blow and vanishes into the tree line. Suddenly, Zagan freezes. He is cooking from the inside out. Desperate, he spins toward the old woman, intending to drain every drop of moisture from her veins. But before he can take a step, he crumbles. Setsuna steps out, calm as ice. He explains the trap. You cannot just binge-eat spirit magic, even if you swallow it. It is toxic. Instead of fueling him, it is incinerating his guts. Pure spirit power is not something a monster like him can digest. Realizing he has been played, the apostle shrieks at Setsuna, then begs Leo, commanding the blonde kid to disintegrate the chaotic magic, tearing him apart. Leo just rolls his eyes, reminding him that 5 minutes ago, Zagan told him to stay out of it. And instead of a helping hand, Leo launches an attack, blasting both his ally and Morgana in one ruthless strike. Zagan is baffled, screaming at the betrayal. But the blonde psycho speaks coldly. He prioritized the mission, taking out the witch, over saving a washed-up pawn. He admits Zagan's nose was useful for tracking the target, but his beastly stupidity was getting annoying. He just did what had to be done. Furious, the apostle vows eternal hatred, swearing on his master's name to kill them all. He coils to strike, but Setsuna is faster. He ignites his blade and tears through the air. Inferno/Zagan hacks up a black jewel, which shatters the second it hits the dirt. The 10th apostle is down. Setsuna spins around, hunting for Leo, but the rat has already vanished. Setsuna hisses his name, burning this moment into his memory. There is nowhere to hide. Next time they cross paths, Setsuna is putting him in the ground. The adrenaline fades as the old woman collapses. Setsuna rushes over, begging her to stay with him. She shakes her head. That was disintegration magic. She is done for. Setsuna and Lionel are crushed. Morgana manages a weak smile. No tears. She recognizes Setsuna as a true close combat mage, worthy of the spirit flame. And she has a final gift. She hands him a magical artifact pulsing with her spirit's mana, the key to bonding with the water spirit. Setsuna tells her to stop talking, like this is the end, refusing to believe there is no cure. But it is too late. Morgana takes her last breath. He lowers her body, whispering to the wind. All this power, all this grinding, it means zero if he cannot protect the people, who matter. The instructor steps in, offering grim comfort. Life is chaos. The future is unwritten. Even the strongest warriors are flawed. The only thing that counts is facing the nightmare, never quitting and fighting until the bitter end. Suddenly, the mood shifts. An elf girl strolls up and pats Setsuna on the head. She giggles, "Gotcha, I am still alive, dummy." Everyone freezes. She drops the bomb. She is the real Morgana. That old woman, just a high-level alchemy doll, similar to the other servants. The twist, she projected her soul into that puppet. That is how the doll had her powers and feelings. It was the perfect bait to fool the apostle into targeting a decoy. Lionel is stunned, stammering. So, the grandma was fake. Morgana nods. That doll was an alchemical masterpiece. She smirks, asking if she blew their minds. Setsuna, still reeling from the whiplash, admits he has never seen a fake look that real. Flashback time. He remembers her avatar in the spirit realm. Even there, she was rocking the disguise of a wrinkled old crone. Spirit realm rules, total catfish territory, the witch shrugs. Lionel isn't buying it, eyeing her youthful glow. You look way too fresh to be that granny. She brushes back her hair, revealing those signature pointed ears. Drop the mic, she's an elf. Elven lifespans make humans look like mayflies, she teases, daring the hero to guess her number. The instructor nudges him. Go on, take a shot. Usually he's sharp with details, but our boy hits the brakes hard. Nope, that question is a straight-up death trap with 0 survival rate. She cackles at his hesitation. 300 years young, baby. The number hits him like a truck. Wait, the math adds up. She was definitely around for the Great Mage War. He presses her for the tea. She flashes a cryptic grin. Info like that isn't free. When our hero literally reaches for his wallet, she busts out laughing. Chill, kid. Put the gold away. But since her crib just got obliterated, she suggests relocating to the lakeside. Perfect spot to drop some heavy lore about the Mage War without interruptions. Down by the water, the elf grabs a pebble and winds up trying to skip it across the glassy surface. Plop. Third try sinks like a brick. She pouts, clearly salty about failing to beat her high score. Our boy shoots a look at his mentor. Is it just me, or is she impossible to read? Lionel nods, totally on the same wavelength. Probably stress, he mutters. Morgana lets out a heavy sigh, shifting gears back to the history lesson. Look around, she starts. Humans, dwarves, beastmen, it's a crowded planet. But elves, we're playing the long game. Our clocks barely tick compared to yours. We stick to the forest's vibe with nature spirits and master magic that humans can only dream of. But it's not all sunshine. Sure, some humans worship spirits, but that reverence can turn toxic fast. Fanaticism leads people down some dark, twisted roads. She drops the bombshell. One rogue elf played a human king like a puppet, teaching spirit magic to a cult of followers. That elf sparked a global conflict for total domination. The hero's eyes widen, so this was the trigger for the Great Magic War. Blind faith plus nuclear-level magic, Lionel grimaces. Disaster recipe. The elf nods solemnly. Bodies piled up on both sides. Eventually, the elves and their spirit cults were crushed. But the backlash, brutal. We became the villain's mind corruptors. Setsuna connects the dots. Ancient magic is just a cover-up for spirit manipulation. The instructor, mind blown, asks the hard question. Do you hate us? For what humanity did? I carried that grudge for a long time, she admits. Not anymore. But I keep my guard up. It's been 200 years and there are still hunters out there itching to skin an elf. Hate dies slow. That's why I wear the mask. Staying hidden keeps me breathing. If it's that dangerous, the hero asks why drop the disguise for us. The headmaster vouched for you, she says softly. Plus, after seeing you bawling your eyes out, I figured you could handle the truth. Setsuna immediately snaps back, face heating up. I was not crying, he protests, but internally the weight of the day settles in. He took down an apostle, but that kind of power has a steep price tag. Breaking the mood, the trio starts on cleanup duty. Magic flies as they repair the battlefield, healing the forest scars. Once the heavy lifting is done, it's time to split. Morgana thanks them for the landscape gardening. Our boy nods, genuinely grateful. Glad we crossed paths, he says. Lionel asks the obvious. Where to now? Cover's blown, she shrugs. Gotta find a new hole to crawl into. Probably won't see you guys again. As she turns, the hero shouts out. If the world goes to hell, can I count on you? He bows deep, showing real respect. Morgana smirks. Pushy kid. She winks. Check with the headmaster when the sky starts falling. We're basically pen pals. Suddenly, Blazer manifests out of nowhere. Think you can leave without a proper fight, he sneers. Next time I'm torching you. She just laughs, bending a stream of water into a playful wave. Careful, hot stuff, or you'll get soaked again. The fire spirit huffs and looks away. Scene over. Final waves are exchanged and the squad splits. Our hero hops onto his lizard mount and hits the road. Riding out, his mind drifts to a rainy memory. Standing alone outside, a woman walking up with an umbrella and a towel. Her words echo in his head. Raw power doesn't make you strong, kid. Confused, he had asked what does. Her warning echoed in his mind. Absolute power doesn't just corrupt. It drives you straight to madness. Mastering that chaos without letting it consume your soul was the real victory, not just stacking raw stats. As the wind whips past him, the lesson finally clicks. He's done playing games. He's ready to wield his spirit energy for actual justice. Flanked by his instructor, our protagonist races back toward the academy. Cut to the shadows, the apostles are making their move. The leader announces it's showtime, signaling the start of their operation. Leo stands there sweating while the boss ruthlessly dissects his failure to eliminate Setsuna and the loss of a teammate. The blonde kid tries to spin the narrative, claiming he at least took the witch off the board. The boss narrows his eyes, demanding confirmation of the kill. Leo stammers, eventually admitting that based on the crater he left, she should be history. The man hits him with a death glare, reminding him that should be isn't good enough when the order was absolute. Another apostle chimes in, salty that Leo didn't even drag Zagon's corpse back. If they had that body, they could have engineered an undead monster, capable of wielding that specific power. Leo argues that Setsuna pulled out secret abilities not in the intel report, but the boss isn't buying the excuses and keeps piling on the guilt. Even the clown joins the roast, complaining that his undead toy got wrecked too. Suddenly, a new challenger enters the frame. It's Tsukuyomi. The leader turns to her asking if she can salvage this mess. She shrugs, replying that it's do or die, and the timing is finally aligning. Boom, lore drop, she is the 8th apostle possessing the terrifying power to resurrect souls. Meanwhile, our dynamic duo cruises under a picture-perfect sky. They are about half a day's ride from the school, and our hero finds his thoughts drifting to his friend's safety. He gazes up at the clouds, stunned by his own shift in mindset. Back in the day, he was a total solo grinder obsessed with self-improvement, convinced that maxing out long-range magic was the only way to dominate the battlefield alone. Other people were just background noise. Now, the script has flipped. He has a squad he can trust. And he realizes true strength isn't one-dimensional. There's a whole world beyond long-range spells, and even the close-quarters mana control he dusted off recently has been a lifesaver. Lionel watches him explaining that mana control isn't just a gift, it's a skill forged in fire. He figures Setsuna must have survived years of hellish discipline, which explains why he's currently flexing as one of the world's strongest. It makes him suspect the kid has a backstory darker than anyone knows. Time for a pit stop. Our boy pulls out the loot he got from Morgana and scans the note. A grin creeps onto his face. This is a game changer, and he pockets it for the perfect moment. Blazer eyes the necklace and grunts, sensing the vibes of a water spirit locked inside. The hero knows this is the key Morgana gave him. He closes his eyes, projecting his thoughts into the void, hoping she's listening. Suddenly, a voice ripples through his mind. The spirit tells him to chill, revealing she's been spectating his entire journey with Morgana. If he can pass her vibe check, she'll lend him her power. His heart races. He's expecting a brutal brawl, like with Blazer. He braces himself for combat. But the water spirit laughs it off. No fighting required. Her trial is simple. He just needs to move her heart. The hero blinks, completely confused. Move her heart? What does that even mean? The spirit explains. She's bored to death of the spirit realm and wants a fresh perspective on life. Hearing this, Blazer rolls his eyes, calling her soft and claiming they'll never mesh. The spirit fires back, saying she actually doesn't mind his attitude. Our boy sighs in relief. At least she's friendly, but the objective is still vague. Suddenly, Lionel grips his shoulder. Kid, you're in luck. He claims he has the ultimate tearjerker, a tale of fiery friendship, guaranteed to make her cry. He launches into an epic saga about heroes who saved the nation decades ago. He starts dropping legendary names like Ordino, the Iron Cutter, and Warris, the Iron Wall. As the story drags on, night turns to day. Our hero literally passes out from boredom. When he snaps awake, the instructor is still yapping at the spirit. The hero facepalms and decides they need to strategize this properly once they're back on campus. Safe at the academy, he hits up his crew for advice on the trial. They press for details, but he keeps it vague, calling it special training. Layla's eyes light up. She suggests a trip to an art museum, mentioning she has a friend who is a total art genius. Our boy nods. Sounds like the best lead he's got. Drago rallies the squad asking who's down to roll. Carol is instantly on board, telling the crew, I got this. Cut to the museum. The whole team is soaking in the history. On the trip back, Setsuna corners the muscle mountain. Dude rips his shirt off, flexing straight marble to show off the gains. Not to be outdone, Pinky flares up, blasting a literal inferno to flex her stats. Blazer steps up, unleashing his own aura and going full try-hard mode. But the water spirit stone cold. Zero reaction. Tough crowd. Cut to the world tree. The MC is grinding, honing his reflexes to a razor's edge. Blazer watches from the sidelines, actually looking impressed for once. He notes how seamless the MC's flow is, like the power is a living partner, not just a tool. Our boy just smirks. Shooting back, coming from you, that's wild. He tells Blazer to chill. He's got everything under control. He explains the new moves are locked in. He glances up, snowflakes drifting down. Winter didn't just knock, it kicked the door down. Internal monologue time. The clock is ticking on the big disaster, but he still hasn't sealed the deal with the water spirit. Not good. As he stuffs his gear into his bag, the hero mutters a change of plans. They need to put the trial on ice for a bit. Bigger fires to put out. Blazer raises an eyebrow, asking if the grind is really over. The MC shakes his head. He can't keep leeching off the world tree. His hardcore training sessions have basically sucked the mana dry, and that tree needs years to recharge now. He drops a respectful bow to the ancient giant, turning to his spirit buddy with a grim look. We're burning daylight. He drops the bomb. In the original timeline, humanity got absolutely rolled by the death god. Game over. 4 specific catastrophes triggered that loss. And the first one. It is dropping in less than 7 days. Blazer demands the intel. The MC breaks it down. Back when the death god invaded, it wasn't just chaos. It was calculated. 4 nightmares defined the war: the calamity of the Silent Dragon, the total wipeout of the Royal Mage Corps, the royal capital vanishing overnight, and the march of the underworld army. That last one, it kicks off in a week. A tsunami of undead just materialized, slaughtering mages and civilians alike. The spirit scoffs, since when are zombies a threat to them? But the MC shuts that down. These weren't your average brain eaters. They were resurrected heroes. Legends, idols, the world's strongest twisted into puppets. He bets everything an apostle is pulling the strings, warping corpses into elite killing machines. His first guess was Giovanni, but nah. That guy doesn't have the juice to command an entire underworld army. The catalyst happens in his hometown, Eldina. Grave robbers are going to hit the hero cemetery in a few days. In the past, everyone thought they were after loot. Wrong. They wanted the bodies. He is going to intercept them before history repeats itself. Smash cut to the school. Cafeteria vibes are way lighter. Layla grills Drago about his winter break plans. He nods, he is heading home, explaining that his pops is finally teaching him the family's secret close combat arts. Big deal stuff. Carol's planning a snow day with Fenrir on her family's massive estate. She shoots her shot, asking if Blazer wants to tag along. Blazer hard pass. Layla's jaw drops, owning actual territory is way out of her league. She turns to the MC asking for his plans, but he is zoned out, totally gone. She has to yell to snap him back to reality. Wait, what? He blinks. Layla clocks the distraction. She senses he is hiding something heavy, maybe dangerous. Suddenly, Pinky leans in, whispering loud enough to spill tea. Setsuna is low-key a chick magnet. If Layla sleeps on this, she is gonna lose her chance. Layla goes full panic mode. It's not like that, but her friend just smirks. Girl, stop capping. We all know. She pivots back to the hero, asking about his roots. He keeps it real, orphanage Eldina region. Her eyes light up that is right next to her family's inn. Suddenly, some snob from the Noble Club, eavesdropping nearby, butts in. He brags that his daddy owns an inn too. Instead of bowing down, our boy hits him with a dry, "Do I know you?" The noble loses it. Ignoring the burn, he pivots to the redhead, inviting her to his fancy salon, sneering that it is an upgrade from her dump of an inn. He reaches out to grab her. Bam. Earth magic launches him sky high. The room freezes. Everyone spins around to find the source. It is a girl, decked out in a nun habit. Before the hero can react, she sprints over and tackles his friend with a hug. Who is this, he thinks. Layla introduces the whirlwind Roberta, her relative. She is here to drag Layla home for the holidays. The nun chirps that she is also prepping for the Saints Festival back in Eldina. The hero's ears perk up. The Saints Festival. Oh, he knows that one. A spark of recognition hits his eyes. It is the legendary year-end bash dedicated to honoring the fallen heroes, resting in the Royal Cemetery's VIP section. But our main character knows the dark history here. This festival is exactly what triggered that infamous grave robbery disaster. Back then, security was a total joke, rolling out the red carpet for villains to snatch the heroes' corpses without breaking a sweat. After a tense moment, Roberta finally lets her guard down, convinced that Drago and Satsuna aren't plotting anything shady around Layla. The squad exchanges introductions, and the nun immediately locks onto our hero. Turns out his reputation precedes him, and she's already intrigued. The redhead mentions his home turf is Eldina, and the nun instantly offers him a lift. That is music to his ears. It saves him a massive headache and cuts the travel hassle way down. Winter break kicks off, and they hit the road. Roberta drops the itinerary pit stop at Layla's crib first, then straight to Eldina. Hearing that triggers a core memory for Layla. Carol's warning about the nun potentially stealing the hero away. To block that play, she hurriedly announces she's crashing the Saints Festival too. Suddenly, boom. Something slams into their carriage, demanding their attention. They step out to find a pack of demon hounds drooling for a fight. Roberta notes the monster spikes lately, wondering what's fueling the chaos. She tosses some seeds, and the hero is baffled by the weird aura radiating off them. In seconds, those seeds explode into massive trees, absolutely demolishing the monsters. Our boy instantly clocks it. She infused those seeds with healing magic. Layla confirms the strats. She's pumping mana in to turbocharge their growth. The hero is low-key shook. Weaponizing healing magic wasn't even a thing until the battle with the Death God, and she is already casually flexing that tech. Our guy steps up to help, but Roberta tries to bench him, warning that those demon bites are no joke. He tells her to chill. With one clean punch, he triggers a charge bullet and deletes every single remaining monster in a heartbeat. The nun is left staring slack-jawed. She starts doubting he's just a student, grabbing his arm and gushing over his insane mana control. Then the interrogation begins. Who's his master? Where'd he train? Our boy realizes this is a trap that leads to 1,000 questions. He pivots, suggesting they check on the squad instead. Amidst the chaos, Layla spots him guarding his glove a little too carefully. That seals it. He's definitely hiding something. Later that day, they pull up to an inn for the night. But the moment they sit down to eat, the nun restarts the interview, grilling the hero again. That night, the redhead is tossing and turning. She decides she needs her bestie to get her into the festival. She heads to the room but freezes at the door voices. Layla tries to bail, but hearing Satsuna makes her stop cold and eavesdrop. Roberta is reporting back to HQ. The hero wields ancient magic, making him a walking nuke. To take him down, she requests 10 purge nights, no scratch that 20. She even declares she's ready to execute him herself if it comes to that. The redhead is horrified to her core and drops her cup. Crash. The nun bolts out to investigate but finds empty air. Layla already cleaned the mess and vanished. Next morning, Roberta is acting totally chill, making Layla question if she hallucinated the whole scary conversation. She knows ancient magic is usually the trademark of villains, so now she's wondering if the hero is actually dabbling in the dark arts. She's spiraling, totally torn and clueless on how to move forward. A bit later, our boy gets back from his morning grind and joins the group. The nun keeps up the nice act, offering him breakfast like nothing happened. He politely passes, saying he'll eat later. That's when she drops a recommendation: he absolutely has to hit the sauna. Blazer has never heard of a sauna and demands the details. Since the spirit is curious, our boy decides to indulge him. Cut to him vibing in the steam, while Blazer is ironically struggling to handle the heat, despite being a literal fire spirit. Suddenly, Roberta strolls into the sauna wearing nothing but a towel. The hero nearly jumps out of his skin, demanding to know what she's doing. She calmly sits next to him, explaining that this joint is co-ed. Her eyes immediately zero in on his hands. He's still wearing gloves. Boom, suspicion confirmed. She even put a do not disturb sign on the door to ensure they wouldn't be interrupted. She turns to him, asking if he isn't roasting with those gloves on in this heat. She reaches out to help take them off, but our boy shuts it down. Those gloves stay on. She keeps her cool, asking if they're a sentimental gift or if he's actually hiding a secret underneath. When he stays silent, she stops asking and physically grabs his hand to force them off. Then out of the blue, Layla bursts onto the scene, practically shoving everyone out because the sauna is supposedly in maintenance mode. She points to a cleaning sign hanging outside and insists the hero needs to clear out too. Honestly, the redhead is just relieved she checked on him, convinced deep down that he isn't actually a villain. Even if he is hiding a dark secret, she is dead set on shielding him from taking the fall for something he didn't do. Once they wrap things up at the inn, the squad packs their gear and Roberta drops the info that their next stop is Setsuna's home turf. But then Layla raises her hand like a student and asks to tag along to Eldina, leaving the nun completely thrown off. When Roberta asks why the sudden interest, the redhead starts gushing about wanting to see where her friend grew up. She adds that she wants to volunteer at the orphanage, but her friend instantly clocks that she is totally catching feelings for the hero. This sends up a red flag for the nun, but since she can't exactly stop Layla from third-wheeling, she caves, figuring that having her around might actually make the hero let his guard down. Before long, they roll into Eldina Setsuna's old stomping grounds. The second they set foot inside the compound, a swarm of kids starts chanting his name, and his face lights up with genuine joy. Layla watches totally awestruck as the children cling to him, giving off major dad energy she didn't expect. Suddenly, Thomas, the guy running the orphanage, steps up to greet the hero and get the lowdown on their travels. Our boy immediately bolts over to his side, telling the girls that Thomas is basically the big brother he never had. He credits the man for keeping the orphanage alive, and soon, Thomas and Setsuna start roasting each other, which totally shocks Layla. She has never seen him drop the cool act and be such a goofball before, but then Thomas switches gears, surprised the hero went with a melee build. He honestly thought the kid would join the Royal Mage Corps and climb the ranks, but our boy tells him to chill, assuring him that he is still going to be the best, even with close combat magic. His friend jumps in to hype him up, telling Thomas that Setsuna is actually a top-tier caster. Thomas grins, noting that she is definitely a keeper. Later on, our boy heads over to pay homage at the grave of Deborah, the woman who founded the orphanage. He confesses that she is the reason he is even breathing right now, and the girl can instantly pick up on the heavy emotion in his voice. It is clear this woman meant the world to him. Roberta walks up and tries to pry, asking if he will share some backstory. The hero politely shuts it down, saying he has got business to handle first. Once night falls, he slips away toward the royal cemetery, moving like a shadow until he finds a vantage point to scope out the area. Just as he predicted, security is totally lax because of the ongoing festival, and the magical barriers are down, leaving the place wide open for an ambush. The bodies resting 6 feet under were elite mages, and if dark energy reboots them, they could unleash an apocalyptic level of destruction. Our boy knows he has to stop these grave robbers before past heroes turn into humanity's nightmare. Blazer tells him to relax, insisting they can handle whatever walks through those gates. The hero feels pumped, but warns the spirit to keep the magic on the down low so the nun doesn't get suspicious. Blazer agrees, noting that he already thinks she is acting sus. With the plan set, Setsuna steels himself for the showdown that is going to go down over the next 2 nights, whispering a promise to Deborah that he won't let her down. Meanwhile, Roberta is grilling Thomas about the hero's history at the orphanage. The director stonewalls her, saying he can't give her the dirt she is looking for. Snapping, she flashes her Inquisitor badge, warning him that the hero might be a legitimate threat, which is exactly why they are running this investigation. The director gets heated, firing back that there is 0 chance the kid is dangerous. Roberta pivots to the redhead, noting how unbothered she looks, and realizes in a split second that Layla has been listening in the whole time. Layla quickly apologizes, claiming she didn't mean to eavesdrop, but then she presses Thomas to spill the beans about the hero. After wavering for a moment, the man finally caves. He starts by describing how the hero showed up on a stormy night. The memory is burned into his brain because a woman carried him in, her body riddled with arrows, literally standing on death's doorstep. Using every ounce of strength she had left, she begged Deborah to save her baby. That woman was Setsuna's mother, a peasant girl named Emma. She came from a humble farming background, happy, just grinding away at her daily chores. Life was simple until a high-ranking aristocrat with massive landholdings passed through her village one day. The noble spotted a radiant aura coming from her soul, and instantly proposed, claiming she was his soulmate. Emma, being a believer in destiny, said yes without a second thought. She was whisked away to the Schneider estate, a massive noble household where the insane luxury started to feel suffocating after living free for so long. However, to the High Lord, Emma was just a number, just another pretty face in his crowded harem gathering dust while he ignored her. Desperate for a crumb of affection, she convinced herself an heir was the key. 9 months later, little Satsuna arrived carrying all her hopes. For a brief shining moment, the Lord actually smiled at her. She thought she'd won. But then, out came the mana tester. The crystal stayed dark. Zero magic. Disgust flashed across the noble's face and he literally tossed the newborn aside like trash before storming out. In this toxic society, weak blood is a sin. The Lord was fuming. How dare this kid be a dud with no magical potential? He never cared about Emma's heart or looks. She was just a breeding vessel for power, and she had failed him. Emma shattered. Reality hit her like a truck. In a moment of pure madness, she grabbed a blade. Her mind twisted. If the kid couldn't fix her life, he had to go. She raised the knife, ready to end it right there. Then Satsuna beamed a pure, toothless smile. It pierced right through her insanity. The weapon clattered to the floor as she snatched him up. She sobbed uncontrollably, holding him tight. But the drama wasn't over. That night, an ominous knock echoed. It was the butler. He didn't mince words. He was taking the baby. Emma knew exactly what that meant. They were going to erase the mistake. Because a talentless heir is a stain. The butler tried to gaslight her, saying, "Don't worry, we'll clear the way for a better heir." She played it cool, nodding along like a good puppet. But the moment he stepped back, silence fell over the room. He kicked the door open, moments later empty. He spotted her sprinting into the night and unleashed the guards. "Dead or alive," he barked. Battered, bleeding, and running on adrenaline, Emma somehow dragged herself to the orphanage steps. Deborah pulled them inside, but it was too late for Emma. As her life faded, guilt consumed her. She hated that she forced him into a cold, loveless bloodline. If only he had been born to a normal family, he might have had a shot. Deborah squeezed her dying hand, wiping away the tears. "I got him," she vowed. "He is safe with me. No one touches this boy. And listen, his start does not dictate his finish. Happiness is something you build, not inherit." With those final words comforting her, Emma took her last breath. Cut to 7 years later. Satsuna is a scrappy kid with a hero complex. But one afternoon he limps home beat up bad. Thomas asks what went down. Satsuna admits he tried to step in when a noble brat was terrorizing his buddy, but he got wrecked. The rich kid blasted him with magic. It was a harsh lesson. In this world, commoners are basically NPCs compared to nobles. Tears streaming, he asks Deborah, "Does being good even matter if we are this weak?" She just smiles enigmatically and says, "Let us pray." He snaps. "Prayer will not stop a fireball." Deborah winks, shifting gears. "True, but you can make a vow instead. Swear to settle the score. Your mom was a warrior kid. That strength is in your DNA." Later, she drops a heavy tome in his lap. "If you can, not blast them with raw power, you gotta outsmart them. Read this." It was Emma's final gift, stolen from the noble's private library before she ran. A lifeline for her son. It was not a spellbook. It was a manual on mana control. The deep theory behind the magic. Satsuna is hyped, but the text is dense. It is like reading advanced physics. He turns to Deborah help. She does not lecture. She holds up a paper, and whoosh burns a perfect hole through it with a tiny fireball. The kid's jaw drops. That control was insane. "See that?" she says. "That is not power. That is precision. Master your flow, and your magic evolves. That is the secret in these pages. But until you get it, you are stuck with basic parlor tricks. But I know you have got the brains to unlock the rest." That is all the fuel he needed. Satsuna swears he will grind until he masters every page. He hits walls. Obviously, this is Grand Wizard level stuff. But Deborah keeps him grounded. "I am right here with you," she promises. And so begins the ultimate training arc. Rain or shine, he is at it. Flash forward 5 years, and the kid is a completely different beast. Even Thomas is shook. "Kid, you are not just good. You are Grand Mage material. Time to pick a class." Satsuna's strategy, long-range sniper style to maximize that insane mana control. He wants to be a jack of all trades, but the world has rules. Pick a path, bind your core, no takebacks. He is hesitating, weighing his options when suddenly panic. A kid sprints over breathless. It is Laka. Slain took her. That noble creep dragged her to the woods because she would not go out with him. Satsuna sees red. He takes off like a shot. Deep in the forest, Laka is backed against a tree, nowhere to run. Slain is looming over her, smirking. "You are just a peasant," he sneers. "You should be grateful, a noble even looks at you." Slane's creepy fingers are inches away from her when snap, a noise behind him breaks the mood. He whips around, absolutely fuming at the interruption. He's ready to scream at his lackeys for their incompetence, but the words die in his throat. It's chaos. A whole swarm of goblins is tearing into his crew. His brain short circuits. This forest was supposed to be a safe zone, 0 goblin sightings on the map. One of the green freaks lunges. Slane fires off a half-baked spell, blasting the creature back, but it's hardly a finishing move. But hey, a hit is a hit. His ego inflates instantly. Pff, they're just bottom-tier trash mobs. He's got this. He starts flexing, unleashing his noble magic, like he's putting on a show. His minions hype him up, screaming that he's a shoo-in for the Royal Mage Corps. But the celebration is cut short. That same goblin. It shakes it off and stands right back up. Slane's jaw hits the floor. He can't look weak now, not after all that trash talk. He doubles down, pouring more mana into a blast meant to nuke the entire squad. It does. Absolutely nothing. Panic mode activated. In a total coward move, he grabs the girl and hurls her straight at the monsters to save his own skin. Make yourself useful for once, he screams. The goblin's eyes light up creepy grins, stretching wide like they just got served a 5-star meal. Before the first claw can land, boom, our MC steps onto the scene, already roasting Slane's sloppy magic control. He dives right into the danger zone, planting himself between Laka and the Horde. You good, he asks, eyes locked on the threat. She nods, trembling but safe, thanking her lucky stars he showed up. Now every single goblin eye is locked onto our boy. Slane and his goons see an opening and bail, sprinting for their lives. But plot twist, the goblins ignore the hero and bolt after the fleeing cowards. Laka is totally lost, but the MC breaks it down. Slane drew all the aggro when he attacked them first. They want him. Let's get back to Thomas and the crew, he says calmly. Meanwhile, Slane is out there getting absolutely dusted by his loyal friends. His squad ditches him at the fork, leaving him to run blind until dead end. A massive cliff drop. Game over. Backed against the void, the tough guy act crumbles. He curls up, sobbing like a baby, begging the beasts not to eat him. And that's when our MC strolls up, delivering the coldest line. Without your posse, you're just a pathetic loser, aren't you? He obliterates the goblin pack with one high-tier spell. Slane is shook, but his ego reboots and he tries to bargain. Help me out and I'll let you be my underling. The MC shuts that down instantly. I'm not here to save you, he says, voice icy. I'm here to make you pay for touching my friend. Lecture over. He turns back to the stragglers and unleashes a barrage of heavy artillery magic cleaning house. Suddenly the gears in Slane's head start turning. He thinks he's got an angle. He smirks, claiming he's cracked the code on our MC's insane power level.